see if anybody even comes in here because it seems the whole world is taken over by Johnny Depp and his trial. I've noticed that like everybody's streams are low lately because either people are back to work after COVID or they're watching Johnny Depp. What is that noise? Two people are watching. They're not talking. I'm trialed out. I've been listening all day. All day. I'm just over it. I hate her lawyers. I want to punch them both in the faces, especially the guy. He's so rude. He's so unbelievably rude. He's just mean. He's rude and he's mean, and it's not coming across good. I mean, if I was a juror, I would be like turned off by her attorneys because the way that they're going about questioning people is just not, I don't know. It's just ugly. It's ugly the way that they're doing it. Good God. It's just terrible, terrible thing. Hey, Andy Cruz. I had a busy weekend, Andy. Busy, busy, busy. We had my son had a game Saturday morning, and then he had an art show, and then we went to another hockey game at UBS Arena. That's what it's called. That's where the Islanders play. What's up, Pugs? What's up, Lisa? So we went there. The NYPD hockey team was playing the FDNY hockey team. So, and then we had a birthday party yesterday. It was just like nonstop, you know? Hey, Rachel. Hello. Oh, her attorneys are terrible. Fucking terrible. They're just, the woman is just weird. I don't know. She's a weirdo. But the guy is so rude. And like, I don't know if that, that shouldn't play a role with the jury as far as, their verdict goes, but it is going to play a role because they're not letting anybody elaborate on anything, right? That they question when they examine people. And when you do that, you're not letting, enough information out there. And it kind of makes it look like they got something to hide because they're, telling people not to really like answer the questions fully. So sometimes the questions they need a little bit more explanation than a yes or no answer. And they're really just trying to keep everything down. Hey, Life Rewinded. Life Rewinded, you never got your channel back? Your original channel? Hey, Natalie. How you doing, girl? Girl, I wish you lived by me because I'm like in hair hell right now. I need my hair done so bad. And my girl had a baby, right? What the hell is this? My girl, that normally does my hair. So I texted her the other day and I'm like, any ideas like when you're going to be, possibly, oh my God, did I forget to put all this shit in my son's Easter basket? I think I did. I was like, when are you going to be back? And, oh no, this was leftovers. Never mind. And she's like, you wrote to them 3 times. Holy shit. So anyway, she's like, yeah, she's going to start opening her book soon, but she's not going to be back till like September. And I was like, oh, hell no. I can't wait till September. That's like, my roots are bad right now. I got like 3 inches. So I had to just book somewhere else. I just hope they don't fuck my hair up. But like, I wish there was somebody here that I just trusted to do my color, but it's the thing that sucks. I wish I could do it myself. That's the only thing that sucks about having bleached hair. Like, I've been there, done that, tried doing my hair myself, in the past, and it didn't go so good. So, yeah, I leave the bleaching to the professionals. I don't want to mess my hair up again. Hey, Novemberine, I like legit fried my hair off. Not with bleach, though. That's the fucked up part. It was this stuff called a Fisserol. It's like a color remover. And that shit legit melted my hair off. Like, just melted it off. I don't know why they even sell that stuff. I mixed it right. I left it on for the appropriate amount of time. And it legit, like, my hair just broke off. So, That's why I had to cut it short. My hair was so long, it was like down to like almost my butt. Like I'd say a couple inches above my, waist. And I started bleaching it and, because it's just to me, it blends better when you have grays coming in. I have so many grays. So the bleach, I feel like kind of blends it in better when you have dark hair and then you have grays come in. It's so obvious. I mean, but at the same time, it's easier for me to maintain myself if I had, if I just left my hair my natural color. So right now though, I can't, like, what am I going to do? Grow all this blonde out? I know you can't really dye back over blonde hair. Like people think you can, but it's very hard. You have to fill it. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to go back to being dark brown. It's kind of boring. I lived my whole life as a brunette, trying life different. But hopefully this girl don't fuck my hair up. I tried looking. I went back to this salon that I used to go to a long time ago. And the only reason I stopped going is because the guy that did my hair, he would cut it and then he would have somebody else like blow my hair out. And I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, I'm paying for you to blow my hair out and everything. So now I got to tip you. I got to tip the shampoo girl. And I got to tip the girl that blows out my hair. Like, and he was getting really expensive as it was because he was the owner of the salon. I mean, he was really good, but it was like, too much money. So I decided to go back to his salon because I know he's like meticulous and he'll only hire, people that are like the best of the best. But, I don't know the girl, so I'm just gonna take my chances. I mean, how hard is it to highlight hair, right? I'm only gonna go there this one time. I love the girl that does my hair, but she's just, she's out. She's gonna be out for a while. I might not see her until September. Shit, by the time I see her, I probably could grow my roots all the way back out, my hair out. I just I don't know. It's so boring just having brown hair. It sucks. How come my chat's not moving? Remind me tomorrow. I don't want to update anything. So, how is everybody? Natalie, what is your natural color? Are you naturally brunette? Because your hair totally looks like it should be blonde. Like, I would never think, I mean, I could tell it's done, but it's not. It looks with your complexion and your, like your features, it looks like you naturally have blonde hair. I'm going to Revlon color my hair tonight. Rev color my hair tonight if I could stay awake. Lisa, you're strawberry blonde now. Tony and Guy does that. What's that? I wish I could go to Guy Tang to color my hair. My hair is so boring though, like no hairdresser. I never get on, like she took pictures of my hair. I never make it on her Instagram page. Nobody wants to see my hair. It's not exciting. Only the girls with the really nice long curly hair make it on the Instagram pages. When you have thin hair, ain't nobody got time for that. They don't put you on their social media. Reverse light with dark highlights. Are you gonna do the oh, what's her name? Bombshell? the stripes. Remember that shit? Oh, you're a level 5, so that's like a medium brown, right? I cannot picture you with brown hair for some reason. I just can't. Well, I think that's like the perfect, I think, starting level. Like, I love that look where, somebody's a level 5 or 6 or whatever, and then they do the highlights, and then it almost has like that grayish, do you know what I'm talking about? Like that ashy brown kind of melting into it. Like when it grows out, mine just looks like black and then blonde hair. Not black. I mean, you can see in my picture here, my roots are I don't know, dark brown, I guess. Medium to dark brown. You could see my roots definitely in that picture. She hasn't done my hair. God, no. When I decided to go blonde, people thought I was crazy. My mom was actually excited. My mom always used to tell me that I looked too harsh with black hair. My hair wasn't black, it was dark brown. But she used to be like, you look like a bitch. You look like too harsh. Like you look like mean with black hair. So I don't know. I started seeing all the ombre. I think that's how I started off, was like an ombre kind of thing. And then I liked the balayage look. And then I just kind of, you know, went into highlights because I needed like a serious color correction. And like I like it. I mean, it's definitely different. Yeah, level 5 is dark brown, right? Level 4, I would say that that's probably what my hair might be. Level 3, level 4, maybe. I'm not sure. Definitely far away from a level 9 or 10. Since I haven't dyed in a while, I noticed I have one gray patch of hair on each side of the front of my hair. Me too, Novemberine. That's where I have it. Like right in the front. I'm like, why can't these grays be all the way in the back? And they're like so bitch ass, these gray hairs. They're unruly. They're like all kinky and they stick up and shit. They're like hard and coarse. Ugh, I hate them. I hate gray hair. Oh, I hate it. It's like, why? Why does this why does our hair have to turn gray? Why? Just why? Honestly, if my hair wasn't turning gray, I probably would have just kept it brown. But hey, Mika Monsters Cricket. My cricket's not back. Haven't heard any crickets in quite some time. Quite some time. They stick up all wiry. Yeah, they like stick up. Like they're, oh God, it's just so annoying. And I pull them out sometimes, and I know you shouldn't do that, but I just do. I can't help it. When I see one that's just like sticking straight up, I'm like, oh, get out of here. Dude, I need some wax melts. I'm gonna have to ask Alicia. Well, I don't want to ask her now because I know she's going through some shit, but I need some good wax melts. Oh, what's this? Vanilla cookie. I can't smell anything. I'll be coming home to rock you to sleep around summertime. Well, that's good to know. That's always good to know. I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna try this one. Vanilla cookie crunch. I don't know, dude. I feel like I can't smell anything. I think it's my allergies. Everything like I can't like everything smells weak to me. I don't know where to get good wax melts. I went to the Yankee Candle store the other day and I'm just like over, I don't know. I feel like I'm just over everything. Like even today, I went into Ulta today and I was just like what's going on? There's just nothing like cool out. There's no good palettes out. I did look at the one Tarte palette and I was like, it was cute, but I was like, I have all these colors like 100 times over. But I'm like, there's no good palettes out. I know probably because of COVID and everything, but there's like nothing exciting. I don't know. I feel like everything's like the same. I think we're just so oversaturated with everything nowadays because of the internet that like you get bored so easily, you know? I was so tan. I'm dealing with some serious hair loss right now. Not sure if it's the C virus related stress or something else. I have a doctor's appointment. Mercedes girl, get your thyroid tested. That could be a I mean stress, I'll tell you right now, stress definitely makes you lose hair cuz when my mom was sick, dude, and then when she passed away and I was dealing with all, bullshit after her estate, oh my god, my hair was like it was scary. It was coming out in the shower just in clumps. I mean, like clumps. And it was bad. And once that ended, I mean, of course, my hair still comes out in the shower, but I don't notice it. I'm telling you, like, I would wash my hair and it would just come out like in clumps. It was crazy. And I definitely think it was because of all the stress I was going through. Plus, lack of vitamin D. But if you're feeling tired, hey teacher mom, if you're feeling tired all the time, uh, having trouble losing weight, losing hair, get your thyroid tested. You might have a thyroid problem, and that's very, very, very common for women. I got mine on Etsy. Randy gave me the recommendation a while ago. I get that. What's that, Life Rewinded? On Etsy. I'm lost. I forgot what we were talking about 2 seconds ago. But yeah, it's definitely probably stress related. And oh, I didn't know that COVID, hair loss is a common side effect. Why? Dude, you can't tell me that shit's not like man-made. Like, why would a cold, basically a flu virus, cause hair loss? What the fuck? Like, some of the symptoms make total sense to me, like a loss of smell or taste. Okay, that makes sense to me. Because when you get a cold or you have bad allergies, like I have year round, like right now, my sense of smell is like null and void. I don't even have a sense of smell. And then, you know, during the year, at certain times when my allergies get worse, I can, my sense of smell and my sense of taste kind of go away. But like that fucking is weird. That is just weird. Why would you lose your hair? Stress and my thyroid was off too. I lost a ton of hair. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, first thing first, Mercedes girl, I know you personally have like a lot going on with taking care of your mom, and that's very stressful. And so it could just be that. But I would definitely go to your doctor and don't just get your thyroid level tested. Don't just say, oh, I want a thyroid test, because they're just going to test your THS level. Tell them I want a full thyroid panel done. Full thyroid panel done. I mean, just to at least rule it out. That's what I did. I was stressed out. I didn't know what was going on. I was experiencing all these, different symptoms. I was tired all the time. I felt like I had like a brain fog. And like all those symptoms could be stress related. It could be, a number of things. But one of the most common, hey, what's up, Hood at TMZ? One of the most common things, especially for women, is your thyroid. Like, so first I would get that tested, but just make sure you tell them to do a full panel on it. People losing hair from the vaccine. Damn, I'm glad I didn't get that shit. I'm terrified to get the vaccine. Don't judge me. Dude, it's not tested enough, and that scares the shit out of me. It just does. And now that COVID's not as, as it's starting to mutate and like get deformed and not as strong as it was in the beginning, I'm probably never going to get it. I thought I dodged COVID and I got it a month ago. I thought my son had it a couple of weeks ago. I swear to God. But I don't know. I don't know if he did. We didn't test him. I figured, why test him? There's really no point. It's not like they're going to really do anything for him. He just got a really, really bad fever. And then, we found out it came from hockey. People at hockey had it. Other kids had it. And let me tell you, man, that shit took him out for like 2 weeks. I mean, some people said it was a flu. I don't know. Who knows what it was? It doesn't matter. He got over it. He got better. But it definitely slowed him down for a solid 2 weeks, whatever it was. If it was a flu or, whatever. I mean, my son, nothing slows this kid down. I've seen him with the flu before, and he still is like crazy. Like, you don't even know he's sick. He's so hyperactive. But with that, forget it. Whatever he had, he got his ass kicked. My son only had one MMR shot, never got any of them. Yeah, but see, Pugs, in his case, I would definitely get the vaccine. He's on drugs, like the immune suppressive drugs. I would encourage anybody on immune suppressive drugs. Like, that's when you have to really weigh the risk versus the benefit, and in their cases, yeah, I would definitely get it. You said it was like sinusitis. How the fuck do you say that? I don't even know how to say that. That's what some people say. After about a month after the virus is when the sudden hair loss started. Of course, I've had some serious stress going on, but this is crazy and scary. Well, Mercedes girl, if even stress, right? Even if you're stressed out, listen, when I was going through what I went through, with everything, with my mom passing away, my brother, and all, the stress with my family and everything, I really thought something was wrong with me. I mean, that's how bad I felt. I just felt absolutely horrible. And so I did a lot of reading. I had a nodule on my thyroid. So I read a lot about, thyroid disease and everything like that, which thank God I don't have, but, stress could bring on autoimmune diseases that you might not have had, but because you're going through stress, you're kind of activating the autoimmune disease in your body. So I would definitely go get that checked out for sure. I mean, it could be just a coincidence, that you had COVID and that's happening. Who knows? My 6-year-old had COVID. She was bouncing off the wall, 0 symptoms. So crazy. Rottenborn. Yeah, that guy's such an asshole, man. I lost 50% of my hair after COVID. It was bad. Thankfully, I have so much hair. Oh my God, Long Island girl. That's like so scary. I'm in a hotel room hustling to get ready for a business dinner. Have MM in my ears, looking down on occasion. Oh, I'm just traveling the world over here. Rottenborn. What a horrible name. What a fucking horrible name. It's so weird because my mom, when we were growing up, she used to tell us that she was going to bring us to Mrs. Rottenworth's house. And it reminds me of that. Rottenborn. Like, oh, what an ugly name. And how's it going, Danny? Back in warm weather. I had to cut my hair off due to the hair loss. My hair wouldn't even take products. My hair never takes products. I actually found one thing that kind of works that's made by Joico, I think, that kind of like holds my hair in a curl, but at the same time, like it'll hold my hair, and it'll look nice, but then I like it's not going to be hair that you want to touch. you know like I always look at those girls on Instagram and I'm like, God, I'm so jealous of their hair. They got this big thick hair. Who knows, half the time it's probably fucking extensions or whatever, but I've seen people like that in real life. My cousin has hair like that. My cousin has the most beautiful hair I've ever seen in my life, and it's long, it's full, it's so shiny, and it's like I just look at those people. I'm like, you're so goddamn lucky. Like, I like if she curls it, it looks so beautiful. My hair just always looks like fine hair, like spider webs. It's so annoying. I have curly hair. My hair, nothing holds it. No hairspray holds it. I mean, hairspray I'll hold it if I'm like slicking it back, like in a ponytail or something. But like if I curl my hair and I spray hairspray in it, it's just gonna flatten my hair out because the hairspray weighs my hair down. It's so annoying. Your daughters, both of them are freaking gorgeous. Both of them. Seriously. And they both look like you. I don't know what their dad looks like, obviously, but like they're both absolutely just stunning girls. Both of them. What you had does a number on your hair and teeth big time. That's your hair being trained to be straight. My hair has always been straight, Remy. Like I've just always had straight hair. Like, you know how people have to like use hair straighteners? Yeah, I never did. I used one. I've used them to like smooth my hair down, but it's always straight. Like even the other day I tried curling my hair and like the longer pieces in the back, they like were flat by the time I was done curling the rest of my hair. Like if it's short, it'll hold the curl a little bit better, but when it's long, it won't even hold a curl at all. It just falls flat, straight. It's annoying. I have very thick horsehair. My hairdresser said, "Don't freak out yet. You have long, thick hair, so it seems you are losing a lot, but it's not that bad." Yeah, I would definitely just go get tested anyway. You know what I'm saying? It can't hurt. All it is a blood test, and that's it. You know, and if not, then if your blood comes back good, then it's probably just stress, and unfortunately. I have all different clients, fine, coarse, curly, straight, long, you name it. See, Natalie, like when people put their Instagram things up, to me, if I was a hairdresser, I would want to like show like all these girls on Instagram, these young girls, they only show the hair that, that's like the thick, beautiful hair. If I was a hairdresser, I don't know, just my opinion, I would think it's important to show every kind of hair like that you do, you know? Isn't that part of being a hairdresser, being able to handle all different types of hair, all different hair types, curly hair, thick hair, coarse hair? I don't know why they do that. How long has it been since you have been losing hair? Yeah, they both look like UMs. I mean, it's like crazy. They're like mini years. My girls are carbon copy. My son is all his dad. Jesse is definitely looks like me. I have to say. Now that he's getting a little older, it's so weird. They kind of change. When they're babies, they look one way. Then, like as toddlers, they might start looking another way. And it's like they kind of there's more. He's starting to get definitely has my husband's nose. Their noses are identical, but his eyes are definitely more my eyes. His eyebrows, his mouth. Poor kid. I only have one kid, different gender, but looks a lot like me. Yeah, my son totally looks like me. Natalie, I hate the layers. I wish I could grow the layers out, but they're like now coming back in style, I guess. People doing the fucking wolf cuts or whatever, which I'm not a big fan of. It looks like a fucking mullet, but hey, to each their own. Why is my lamp turned off? Ooh, this stuff smells good. Mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, Jesse does look just like me. Like overall, he looks like me. I can't wait to see what he looks like when he gets older. You know, like as a man, like who's he gonna look like? I asked for layers, walked out with a jacked up long pixie. Oh shit. Oh shit. I mean, it's weird. My husband's family has very strong genes, especially his dad's side. Like they all, him and all of his siblings, they all look like the dad. Like you see the dad's genetics a lot more in their faces and everything. But I don't know. When it came to me and him making a baby, I think my genes won. I always wondered what a girl would look like from us. I would love to have a daughter. I'm so jealous of people that have daughters because I'm like, sons. I mean, I love my son, don't get me wrong, but I would love to have a daughter too. Just to have a girl to do girl things with. Like, I'm so fucking boyed out, you know? I'm always doing boy things all the time. And my whole life revolves around boy stuff. And it would be nice to have a daughter to go do like girl things, like go get your nails done or some shit, which I don't do, but I'm just saying, you know, like something like that. It would be nice. I will be back. I have to start dinner. I'm starving, Novemberine. Get me hungry, girl. Get me hungry. It's been so quiet on YouTube lately. Has anybody else noticed that? I feel like what happened to our community? I feel like everybody just disappeared. Or maybe not disappeared, but like spread out and went like other to like other communities because it's so quiet around here. Like I'm like, who's going live? Like on a night to night basis, I don't see people going live. It's so weird. It's like everybody just kind of went their own direction. Some people went towards the Summer Wells community, and I don't know. It's just so spread out, and everybody's dancing in different directions. The only person that like I consistently goes live is Alicia, Science Girl. So I listen to her. I was listening to her before. But then there's other people I just don't listen to. I just like I don't even have the patience for. I'm just like I can't with these people. Like there's just certain people in this community that I just can't. I can't deal with their bullshit. You know, there's just some people I just tune out and I just don't want to even I don't care to even listen to them. My business is my baby girl. It's so weird. I fell down a really large rabbit hole, and if anyone says our community is the worst, I'm directing to the place I found. What's that, Remy? I saw you in that Granny's watching chat yesterday, I guess, because of course I had to listen to it because there was a clip on Social Fade, I think, you know, of Laura doing that weird fucking mentoring thing that she does to people that she meets on YouTube, you know, where she tries to like give out like dole out some YouTube advice like trust me, you don't want to do this and you don't want to do that. And it's like, why are you like giving this unsolicited advice. Like, I don't know if she realizes how it comes off, but it comes off very condescending, you know, like it's not a bad thing to give people advice, you know, but like she's a little pushy. She's overly pushy with it, you know, to people. And it's like it could get annoying. Like I could imagine how that girl felt, you know, when somebody just every time you talk to them, all they're doing is like telling you how to behave on here, you know, like what you should and shouldn't do. First of all, people need to learn for themselves, you know, but second of all, um, I think it's more of her way of like being able to like retell her own story and all the things that have happened to her and that she's gone through without seeming narcissistic, you know, so she does it in a in a way where it's like I'm giving advice to somebody, you know, I'm helping somebody else out. But I really wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt on this. And then I go listen because I was fucking bored. There was like nothing on this weekend. And I go listen and I'm like, dude, you always somehow make yourself the fucking victim in all this shit when you clearly must have done a live. I didn't see that. I didn't see the live, but the girl was reacting. I watched the girl Granny's watching, which I've never watched her before. But the girl was reacting to something that you had said during live that about her, you know, which and then you know, you want to turn around and be like, well, hey, you know, people I'm just trying to help her. You know, and people should contact me if there's a problem, but you didn't do that for her. You went live and you started discussing all this shit. And so she reacted to it live, right? And then how do you make yourself the victim in all that? I just don't get it. I don't get it. And a way to sell her candles and play that motherly role. Well, yeah, that too. I mean, does that girl even have a lot of subscribers? Not that it matters because she'll take anybody's subscribers, you know? She does that thing where she just like, you know, she tries to pretend that she's like your friend and she like gives a shit about you. And we know that that's obviously not true. You know, she tries to, dude, if she would have ever tried that shit with me, like, I would have been like, dude, just stop giving me advice, please. Just stop. I don't need your advice. Thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. You know, but I don't know what made her befriend the girl. Like, I don't really know much about the history of their friendship or lack thereof or whatever. But she got 5K in 5 or 6 months. Oh, all right. So, however the hell she did that, luckily, the girl was like, Laura, you can't say you haven't done anything. Well, yeah, at least she knows that. She went live talking about her, yet got pissed that she responded on live. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I was confused about, what made me go back and watch it. Because she always does that whole, like, well, you could call me. Like, first of all, do you really think that that girl knew her phone number was on her candle website? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's always like, oh, you could call me. Why? So everybody has to call you and inform you about what they're doing, but you don't have to inform anybody? Okay. She says the same thing about everybody. It's always like, oh, well, you could have called me. You could have called me. You could give me the courtesy, but I don't have to give it to you, but you owe it to me. It's always bass backwards with her. Hey, Paige, my orchids are in full bloom over here. Well, one of them is. One of them is, I don't know what's going on with it. I mean, it's blooming. It's just there's only two flowers, which is so disappointing, but what are you going to do? I got a weird situation going on. She took her any side before with Robbie. Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Well, that's kind of messed up. You know, she's known Robbie for years. Why would you take some person you don't even know side over his side? That's fucking weird. Then Laura responds to her in a live last night, I guess. Like you went up on her panel, talked about it. Why do you need to go live about it? Yeah, that was like the most awkward. Like it was like the most. I don't even know what's going on. I just heard Social Fade's clip, and I was like, let me go investigate. You know what the hell is going on here because I was bored, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like same shit, different day. You know, Same shit. She's, doling out advice. And then when people don't take her advice to the T and follow it, which I find really funny, I have to point this out. All of a sudden, she's like, you can't go legal on people on YouTube. And I'm like, that's so weird because aren't you the person who's always threatening to go legal on everybody on YouTube? And now all of a sudden, you've realized that you can't go legal on, not that you can't. I mean, but if somebody's just talking shit about you, obviously you can't go legal on them. I mean, freedom of speech, but like if somebody's legit harassing you on here and threatening your family and shit, well then yeah, you have every right to go legal on them. They're doxing you, putting your information out, harassing you, whatever. But she's like, all of a sudden she's like the expert on going legal on YouTube, which is really funny because a lot of the things she was saying was things that I've said to her in the past. Like, she's like, well, you have to file the charges in your own state. No, that's not true. And Bullhorn Betty proved that. She had to go to crude as fuck's state and then file charges there where he resided because that's where the harassment is occurring, allegedly. Obviously, he wasn't harassing her, but I'm just saying, in the eyes of the law, the harassment is happening in the state that the person who's doing the harassing lives in. So you would have to go to their state and file charges in their state, not in your state. She's like, where it's happening. No, it's happening on the internet, really. But you file against the person who's doing it. So you have to go to their state to file the charges against them, which is why it never fucking works out on here. The cops don't have time for shit like this. The first thing they're going to tell you is stop engaging with the person. Don't engage with them. And she gave all of a sudden she's saying the same shit that I always said when she threatened to go legal on people. Now she's the expert on going legal. We know harassment goes through courts. What happens is you make a complaint, cops then do their thing, hand it off to the court. Right. And the person gets served. Exactly. So it's like, but all of a sudden she's like, oh, you can't go legal. You can't do this. And I don't know what the situation is, why the girl wants to go legal or whatever. I really don't know the whole story. But dude, like if somebody wants to do that, why are you even trying to talk them out of it? Let people fucking just do what they want, dude. You don't have a case if you have a criminal charge. What the fuck is she that dumb, for fuck's sake? So no one with a criminal. Well, that was the one thing. Okay. Your past has nothing to do. Your criminal past, if you're bringing charges against somebody, right? If you're going to file charges against somebody or go to the court and have them file charges, whatever, you want to press charges against somebody for harassment or whatever, your past has nothing to do with that. They're not going to look up your criminal record and be like, oh, you stole something or, you got arrested for drug possession 10 years ago. You got a DWI. Sorry, you can't file charges. That's not how it works, dude. And again, we use Bullhorn Betty as the example because she filed charges on crude that were just completely false. But they don't look at that. They don't look up your criminal history when you go to file charges against somebody. That's not how it works. Or when you make a complaint, I should say, against somebody. The prosecutor is really the one that files the charges. But, when you make a complaint against somebody to the police and you want to get a restraining order or whatever it is, they're not going to look at you and be like, oh, well, you've gotten arrested in the past, so you're going to fucking lose this case. So we're not even going to bother taking it. We're not going to help you. Like no, that's not how it works. It doesn't work like that. I have a friend named Ian Ellis, but are you talking about the one in Delphi? Ian Ellis, the guy, wait a second. I'm confused. Isn't Ian Ellis like associated with whatever their fucking name is? Long Brain TV. Do you know who is Ian Ellis? I don't know who he is. No, I've heard of him, but I've heard of him. Isn't that like the RDA people? I don't know. Or he's somehow associated with those idiots. Hey, wild one. Wild one, did you and Angel work everything out? I really hope so, man, because let me tell you, man, I don't get upset on here very much, but that day I was feeling it, dude. I was feeling that shit. I was hoping you guys worked everything out. None of my business, but I personally hope you guys worked it out because I like both of you guys. I hate that, dude. Every time another friendship on here, breaks up, I feel I just take it so personally when it's two people that I like. Not personally like anybody did anything to me. Just it hurts, it just hurts to see two good friends that I care about both of them, the friendship breaking up. That just breaks my heart. I hate to see that. I know everybody does, but I'm just saying. I was just like, I was in chat that day and I was like, no, like, you just want to like jump through this screen and just like stop something from happening, but you can't. I hope you guys worked it out. Oh, good. All right. I'm glad to hear that, wild one. That makes me very happy. See, real adults can work shit out. He is a suspect for Delphi. I only remember that because I was so worried it was my friend with the same name. I guess hey, Teresa, that's a common name. Dude, that Delphi case is fucked up, man. Ian Ellis is a comic host of with huh? Ian Ellis is a comic in Chicago, host of With Apologies. Is that a show or something? I never heard of that, Long Green. Sorry, I'm there's a lot of Ian Ellis's apparently in this world. We're getting confused. I'm running to the store and you guys are coming, Pepto, I'm coming. Girl, I used to be addicted to Pepto-Bismol, like addicted to it. I mean, I took it all the fucking time. Then I realized one day that it turns your tongue black. If you take it before bed and you go to sleep, oh my God, there's a huge fucking bug and I almost just walked into it. You wake up the next morning and your tongue is like black. It's fucking weird. I forget why they say that happens, but ever since then, I don't know. I don't want to take it anymore. Not that it's harmless. It's not gonna kill you or anything. It's just fucking weird. It's like, why is my tongue black? Mm. Very dope. Her people were wonderful. The hummingbird, Tawanda, Angel. Who? Crazy Gemini Laura? No, her people. I love when she says that. Oh, you're not allowed to bash people in my chats. Dude, are you fucking seriously saying that, Laura? I've been in your chat bashing people. Like, where? I don't know. She's one of those people that I really just like think to myself, like the more you lie, maybe you start believing your own lies after a while. You know what I'm saying? If you just keep repeating something over and over and over again, maybe eventually you just start believing that it's the truth. Maybe she actually thinks that that's the truth. You know, like I, it's not. I mean, I see her, dude. I've seen her chat rip me apart several times, talk shit about me all the time. I see it. Like ZZ Hounds. I don't bother that person, but for some reason, they always have shit to say about me. Or Capone, who always comes in here and starts shit. Like, come on, dude. Bismuth has a reaction. That's right. Gabe Ellis, who is a suspect. Dude, that Delphi case, I didn't know much about it until recently. That is some fucked up shit, dude. And God bless that girl that she took. She had the mind, because they were young girls, that she had the mind to record that guy. I mean, the little bit, it's just, to me, I just cannot believe that in all these years, nobody, that guy has a very distinct walk, voice, and a look. He has a very distinct look. I mean, while he could probably blend in society, right? This is a smaller kind of town. Somebody like here, around here, like that would blend in, but in a smaller area, I don't know how many people are in Delphi, but I could guarantee it's not as big as my town is that I live in. Like you would think somebody like that would kind of stand out. And it's just amazing that nobody's come forward and recognize this guy. Ian Ellis also does a cartoon, Philip Wave Radio, and is good friends with Pasta. I'm starving, sorry. Louis J. Gomez. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I'm just glad it's not the Ian Ellis that. I don't know who Ian Ellis is. I don't know the guy personally, the one that's affiliated with the RDA, but whatever. Hey, where is Capone? It's been an hour. He must have the flu. Maybe he's at work. Maybe he's actually at work. She said she would never bash anyone that gives her money. Oh, that was the funny part, Crazy Gemini. And I think I even commented about it underneath Social Fade's video where she's like, and I was a member, and you know, um, I didn't bash her. I didn't bash her, and she wasn't even a member. And I'm like, what is it like? What is the fact that Laura does that all the time? She has these little, like, kind of, I guess that I'd call them Freudian slips. She has these little slips sometimes where she forgets that, there's a whole bunch of people listening to her, right? And she says things like that. And I'm thinking, what is her having being a member or not have anything to do with you standing up for what's right? But you talk about integrity all the time, but one doesn't have like what does it matter? Like, should we send you a trophy somewhere because you stuck up for somebody who didn't pay you? Like, are you fucking kidding me? But integrity and all that. Thank gosh she got that recording. I don't know much about that case, but the basics, however, voice says down the hill, two girls. I'm thinking two people were involved. Oh, so this morning I'm listening to this really fucked up. I'm like all over the place. I'm listening to this really fucked up recording of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And I've never heard this one before in its entirety. I forget what channel it was on, but they had the whole entire, it's like a 5 hour of recordings. So obviously I didn't listen to the whole thing. I don't know why this one recording was not played in court. Because to me, if there's anybody out there at this point that has doubts whether he was the victim of abuse or the abuser, I really think that this specific recording that I was listening to this morning would completely change your mind and you would have no doubt of who the abuser is anymore. I mean, I've read a lot about abuse. I've been in an abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive relationship that got physical at times years ago. And a person who's being abused doesn't taunt their abuser. That's one thing you just learn as a victim to not do, because if you've ever been a victim to one of these emotionally abusive people, which I think Amber is both emotionally and physically abusive, right? I think that you get into this kind of mindset where you try to do whatever you can to avoid fighting with the person, right? Because like with my ex, there was nights that I literally used to feel like I was being fucking like waterboarded, tortured, right? Like a little issue would come up and we would just go around in circles all fucking night. All night. I felt like I was being like interrogated constantly about everything. Everything I did, music I listened to, clothes that I wore, everything. I will never forget one time I fucking went to his house, right? And this was like one of the first like things that kind of happened that started making me think like there's something up here with this guy, like it's a red flag. But mind you, this was like the first serious relationship I had as a young girl, in high school. So I really didn't know any better. So I go over his house one day and it's like November, right? And I walk in and I'm wearing a fucking zipper up hoodie, sweatshirt, and I have like a camisole underneath. If you don't know what a camisole is, it's just a tank top basically with the really thin straps. I personally hate them now, but back at that time they were in style. A lot of people wore them. And he like flipped the fuck out on me because I was wearing a camisole under a fucking sweatshirt. And he's like, it's fucking cold out. Like, why are you wearing that? And I'm like, what does he care? Like, I'm thinking to myself, why does he care if I have a tank top on underneath? I always have a tank top on underneath my clothes. Always. Like, there's rarely a day where you'll see me and I don't have something underneath my shirt, like an undershirt, I guess you would say, right? I mean, I have my bra on too, obviously, but I always wear a tank top of some sort underneath whatever it is that I'm wearing. Cause it just, to me, like, I don't know, I I feel not naked. I just feel warmer, in the winter, like to have like an extra layer underneath the sweatshirt. Plus, like, you don't want the zipper on your body. Like, that's weird. But I'm thinking, like, what the fuck am I supposed to wear underneath a zipper hoodie? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was the weirdest thing. And this fight lasted like the whole fucking night, dude. And I was just like, holy shit. I literally used to feel like I was being tortured over like really stupid things. Like, I'll never forget. There was another fucking time, my friend, I was gonna kill her. Cause like this is what happens when you're in a relationship with somebody like this. Okay. You really try to do everything that you can to avoid these fights, right? These circular fucking go nowhere fights with these people, right? So you in your head you can control the things that you say and you have to be, and it's horrible, it's a horrible way to live. You have to be very careful about everything that you say in front of these people, right? Because you don't know what the fuck's going to set them off. Like, I had no idea that this was going to set this guy off that day. Just walking in the house with a fucking tank top on underneath my shirt. Like, I had no idea that that was going to set him off. So this other time, my friend and I take a ride to this little town over here, right? And we're getting out of the car, and this guy says to me, as he's driving by, because like I had to park on the street, like parallel park. And when I get out of the car, some guy drives by. He's like, "Hey, nice ass," or something like that. So obviously not my fault, right? I mean, not my fault. I had a nice ass when I was younger. Just kidding. But I mean, really, it wasn't. It's not my fault. So we get back to our boyfriends, right? Where they're all hanging out. We like ran to some store or something. We come back, and my friend Tommy, totally innocently, says this that, oh yeah, this guy drove by and he yelled out to Liana, nice ass. Dude, that fight, I mean, it lasted all night. It lasted all night. It was like it was my fault that this fucking total stranger, from the car, like I wore the wrong pants. I was wearing regular jeans, dude. I never dressed like slutty. Like I didn't dress like that. I always tried to dress modestly. Sometimes, yeah, I showed off my body a little bit, but like not like in a inappropriate way. I was just wearing a regular pair of jeans. Well, I mean, like, I was interrogated the whole fucking night over this shit. Like, it was my fault that this guy screamed something out. Like, meanwhile, that happened all the time, not for nothing when I was younger and I was fucking so skinny and shit. It happened all the time. It happens to every girl. Guys yell things to them, whatever. But I got interrogated all fucking night about this shit. All night. I mean, I remember I was in college at the time when I was dating this guy because we started dating in high school and then through my first year of college. And I would just be like exhausted in school the next day, just fucking exhausted. Like, where I couldn't even focus in school because I felt like he had fucked my brain so bad the night before that the next day when I would be at school, like I just didn't want to think about anything. You know, I just felt like I was being tortured. That's the best way I could explain it. It was fucking horrible. It really was. It was a terrible fucking thing to go through. And hearing this shit this morning that I heard, I it's just like, dude, I know as a person who is in an abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive relationship, I would never provoke a fight ever because like I wanted to do everything I could to avoid fighting with this person, because sometimes you don't even know what's going to provoke a fight. But this thing that I'm listening to this morning, she's like laughing at him, she's making fun of his movie career, um just the fact that he did 21 Jump Street. I mean, just really fucking demeaning him bad. And he's saying things back to her, but he's also very passive in all these fights. And he was recording this one, so I take recordings sometimes with a grain of salt because sometimes a person could be cognizant that they're recording and that it might be heard by other people at some point, so they might not fully act like themselves. But in this case, we hear both. We hear both. And to me, he sounds the same in both recordings, whether it's his recording or it's her recording. He always seems to take on this passive role. Now, mind you, she was aware that she was being recorded by him in this recording. So she knew that. I don't know why they were recording each other. I'm assuming, and this might not be right, but I'm assuming that maybe they were doing it as part of maybe a marriage counseling thing, where they would play it back. I don't know. I don't really know what the purpose was. Maybe he thought he was going to show her behavior. I did hear that at some point, but I don't remember who it came from. Maybe he thought that, here, this is what you sound like when you're, fighting. I mean, she's really fucking, this shit was bad. It was bad. And, she doesn't let him get a word in edgewise. So when they're fighting, there's this dynamic of her just going, and the fucking push pull of the relationship. God, if this is like any example for, those like psychologists to use of a person, of a prime example of somebody who has borderline personality disorder, like as I understand it, because I've done a lot of reading about it, because my brother, claims that he thought his wife had it. So I was like, okay, great. I read up on it because maybe that'll help me understand her and why she acts the way she acts, And this girl, this whole case really is just such a great example of it. Her behavior is just so fucking typical of borderline. What you read, all those symptoms, it's her, dude. The fear of abandonment, she doesn't let him leave. I mean, people are testifying to it today that, his bodyguard, that oftentimes she wouldn't let them leave. She would hold him back, like, it's fucking crazy because that's seen as abandonment. So fucking weird. That was one thing I really couldn't understand when I was reading about it, because I was like, what do they mean fear of abandonment? And it's like, it's not just somebody physically leaving, right? It's abandoning somebody even on an emotional level. So like if you know, don't show up somewhere, but you're still there, they don't have the same understanding that we have, okay, normal people have, that if somebody's, you could still be with somebody even not being physically together. You know what I'm saying? Or emotionally together, maybe because you had a fight, but you know that you're going to come back. Every time a person abandons them in some way, whether it's emotionally, like by not agreeing with them, they see it as like abandonment instead of just a disagreement, like a normal person would say, like, okay, we're just disagreeing on this, or just somebody needing their space, which is a very normal, healthy thing to do in a relationship, right? We need to have our own lives. People need to have their own separate lives. They don't understand that. People with borderline personality disorder, just they don't see that. They don't get it. So if you're choosing to go, and it could be something simple as read a book over spending time with them, they see that as, oh, you're abandoning me. And she just like over and over again does it, and it's just so obvious. I mean, the whole time ever since I started listening to this, I've been thinking she has borderline personality disorder, just based on what I've read about it. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but like her behavior just, I mean, is so typical of what you hear borderline personality disorder is, the fear of abandonment, the stormy relationships with people, the narcissism, all of it, every bit of it. If you're not 100% in their corner at all times, then you become the enemy. Well, that's right, Paige. They do this thing called splitting. And see, that's why, I kind of agreed with my brother's assessment on his wife about the splitting, because, people are either all good or all bad. Like, we could all split at times, right? Like, there's people that, you know, like her, I look at her, she's just fucking evil to me. But that's because of all the shit I've gone through with her. She's just pure evil to me, you know? But there's other people that I'm like, okay, they have bad qualities, but they're still a good person overall. They can't really do that. People get split into these categories where they're either all bad or they're all good. And there's somebody on here that I used to be friends with that split a lot of people. They did the same thing. It was like all of a sudden one day somebody would be the best person in the world. They put them up on this pedestal, or as Laura says, pedestal, and they would praise them and idealize them, and they're the best person in the world. And then all of a sudden, like that, hey, Smokey P, it changes, and that person becomes the fucking devil. And now that person's out to ruin their lives. And like I've personally thought, and I wouldn't be surprised, this person that I'm thinking of, that I was friends with, has this, because a lot of her behavior is very typical too of borderline personality disorder. Like people have disagreements, friends have disagreements, right? You don't just haul off and block them because you have a disagreement with them. Like normal people are like, okay, we had a disagreement. I've had plenty of disagreements with friends that I'm still friends with on here, that we've had disagreements about things. We've even fought about things, right? Or argued, rather. I wouldn't say we fought, but we had arguments about things. But we come back together because we both, understand that we don't have to see eye to eye on everything as friends, right? Like we're not going to see eye to eye on, and that's okay. But these people, they can't do that. They just don't have that ability to understand that they're not going to see eye to eye on everything with everybody. But the second that you disagree with these people, you're blacklisted. You're done. You're a piece of shit. You're garbage. And you could hear it in this recording, the one I listened to this morning, that she's just fucking, all of a sudden she's nice. And then like he says one thing and it just, boom, flips. It flips. And then she just starts degrading him and berating him, and he's horrible and he's a fucking piece of shit, and it's just like, wow, man. It's really unbelievable, but also really interesting too, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that borderline personality disorder is very, very common. And it's sad. I mean, part of you has to feel bad for the people who have it, right? Because, it sucks. Like they didn't choose to be like that. They didn't choose to have that in their lives. But at the same time, it's very hard to have relationships with people that have borderline personality disorder like she does. Yes, they split people into black and white categories. Like me, I was my brother's wife. If his diagnosis is right, okay, because that's what he told me he thought she had, which I knew something was wrong with her when I met her. I personally feel like she's a fucking malignant narcissist, but they're all in the same category, and they all share similar things, right? So, it made sense to me that he thought that, from whatever the fuck he looked up, that's the conclusion he came to, that she has borderline personality disorder. And right off the bat, something about me, she split me into the bad category for some reason. I don't really know what the fuck I did, but she split me off into the bad category. And that was it. Once that happened, there was no coming back. And my brother even told me that at one point in time when he had like a moment of clarity, like there's no coming back, And I was like, well, that's great. Look into the Montauk Project. I've heard of that before, chick. It's just really interesting. What was more interesting though was that doctor that testified the other day. She was talking about histrionic personality disorder. Let me see if I can find this actually, because I want you guys to tell me who you think this sounds like on here. Now, obviously, we can't diagnose people, but it is interesting. And the only reason I wanted to diagnose, and I think people do this to diagnose, is to explain like the behavior of people, right? To make sense of it, because people who are personality disordered, just they do things that like normal people don't understand. Like we just don't understand their emotions and all, or lack thereof in some cases. So it's like to be able to like put a set of behaviors into like a classification, I don't know, it kind of just helps you in a weird way. Like when I started reading about borderline personality disorder, I realized that the guy I was telling you guys about that flipped out over the tank top, like I was like, holy shit, dude, this is him. Like everything about it was him. The fear of abandonment and all of it was him to a T. And I was like, holy shit, like men can have it. It's just more commonly diagnosed in women. But I was like, wow, like it all made sense. Shit, what was that doctor's name? I'm trying to think. We type in Johnny Depp. She was good. And she was gorgeous too. Johnny Depp trial doctor. Let's see. Or wait, what was she? Here she is, forensic psychologist. I don't want to play her whole thing. I saw a good clip the other day of her explaining. Let me see if I can find it. Histrionic. I want you guys to listen to this and tell me who you think it sounds like. All right, I think this is maybe. Yeah. All right, well, listen to this one. It's only 11 minutes. So hold on a second. You guys tell me who you think that this sounds like, who she's explaining. Somebody we all know on here. My fucking computer is being a dick. Hold on.
I was contacted by Ms. Camille Vasquez, one of the attorneys for Mr. Depp.
Hold on. I'm going to share it.
What was the nature of the contact?
Ms. Vasquez called me and indicated.
All right, let's get through this because we don't.
Depending on the source or the state, but essentially intimate partner violence.
Okay, we're going to go back.
Right. You used a phrase there, intimate partner violence. What are you talking about?
So there are a multitude of different definitions depending on the source or the state. But essentially, intimate partner violence is abuse. It could be physical, psychological.
Hold on a second.
And it's from one partner to another in an intimate relationship.
Let's go. We're going to speed it up a little.
Did your role in this case evolve over time?
Yes, it shifted. So I was retained at the end of January 2021.
All right, we don't need to know how she got here.
Counsel to provide a psychological evaluation of Ms. Heard.
Okay.
Were you ever asked to do a psychological evaluation of Mr. Depp?
No. Okay.
That was another thing I saw Laura going live about. Even though I'm not subscribed to her, she still pops up in my thing. And she's like, why aren't they evaluating Johnny Depp? I'm like, why would they evaluate him? He's not the one on trial. Like when they do psychological evaluations in criminal cases, do they evaluate the prosecutor too? Like, or the state? Why would he be evaluated? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me in this case. Why would he need to be evaluated? The case isn't against him, so why would he need an evaluation? To be quite honest with you, the evaluation in a sense kind of helps Amber out, so it doesn't look like she's some type of fucking, maybe drunk or I don't know, crazy person. Okay, there's an explanation for her behavior. She has borderline personality disorder. It might actually make jurors and people sympathetic towards her because it's something that she can't help. So, I mean, I was like, why would they evaluate Johnny Depp? That just doesn't make any sense.
What types of documents did you consider in this analysis?
So I reviewed quite a few documents as part of my evaluation. That included all of the case documents, Ms. Heard's medical records by Dr. Kipper, her prior mental health treatment records. I believe I reviewed records from Dr. Amy Banks, Dr. Bonnie Jacobs.
Ellie, it's very interesting.
Connell Cohen. And also a significant portion of my review involved notes from Nurse Erin. Several video recordings from possibly photographs. I might be getting them confused. And multiple witness statements, testimony.
Yes, they did, Ellie.
Did there come a time when you met directly with Ms. Heard?
Yes, I did. So in conducting my evaluation, I met with Ms. Heard on two separate dates, December 10th and December 17th, 2021.
Approximately how much time have you spent with Ms. Heard?
So the evaluation, we spent 12 hours directly with one another.
Wow.
However, there were more hours involved in the evaluation with some breaks. So we spent 7 hours together on the first day, December 10th. Not necessarily together because there was a 1 hour lunch break and about a half hour.
I didn't even realize that. That's a long time, 12 hours.
or with breaks split up through the day. And then on the 17th, we spent a little more than 8 hours in the evaluation. From
Look at Amber's face. Ugh. She just got such a fucking punchable puss on her face. Ugh, I can't. Her homely look that she's going for with the braids. She's trying to look like a fucking, I feel like she's trying to look like a sister wife or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with the braids? And it's just fucking weird. And by the way, I titled this "What's an Op-Ed?" because why do they keep calling it? Why don't they just refer to it as an article? Well, why do they keep calling what's an op-ed? What is that even short for? Is that short for something? I have no idea. Op-ed.
Break and another
Educational. Oh.
As a result of the work that you performed, did you form any opinions
Amber needs her roots done.
with respect to Ms. Heard?
I did.
What were those opinions?
The results of Ms. Heard's evaluation supported 2 diagnoses: borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder.
Okay, so she's diagnosed with 2 different things: borderline, histrionic. Which, if you're not familiar with histrionic, obviously it's in the cluster B, so it's still part of the same group with narcissism, borderline personality disorder, and I don't know if they count. There's 2 more. I can't remember the other. I think there's 5 disorders in all. Antisocial personality disorder, which I don't know if they changed that. I don't know. It's weird. But and the other one is schizoid or something like that. And so those are all the different subtypes in what they call cluster B, cluster of personality disorders. And opposite editorial. Okay. Opinion piece. Everybody's saying different things. Opinion editorial. Interesting. Yeah, it's gotta hurt, crazy Gemini. It's gotta be a little ouchy.
What is a diagnosis?
A diagnosis is a way that that psychologists, psychiatrists, anybody in the mental
At the end of the day, though, they could still just call it an article. It's so weird.
health field thinks about a disorder. It helps us to communicate a set of symptoms that a person is experiencing, and along with that set of symptoms, it interventions will be most effective for the person.
This is so annoying.
Previously, you made reference to, I think you called it the DSM-5. What's
Yes.
that?
Low bun.
So the DSM-5, that stands for the
olive oil.
Diagnostic
Yeah.
Statistical Manual, version 5. And that contains every diagnosis we use in mental health. And it's the authoritative.
Oh, you were
manual of mental
guessing. All
diagnosis.
right.
Is performing diagnoses something you typically do in?
I'm glad to hear that,
Yes.
Smokey.
So you referenced 2 personality disorders. What's a personality disorder?
To
All right.
understand a personality
Let me
disorder, I think it
skip
can be
through
helpful
this.
first to kind of deplete
Let me
things.
just-
We might, be sure to mind our P's and Q's and help you.
I just want to get to where
Personality
she's
traits area.
describing
A personality
histrionic.
disorder is some sort of dysfunction in those enduring traits. So as opposed to other types of mental illness, when you think about something like depression, that's episodic. It
I hope
comes
it's
and it
in
goes,
here.
and when it's treated with medication, it can pretty much be completely mitigated or minimized in a person's life, and their personality is still there, separate from the depression. When we have a personality disorder, there are going to be disturbances in several different areas that are visible in almost all different facets of their life.
Is there a manner in which personality disorders are commonly diagnosed?
Yes, so they can be diagnosed in a treating environment.
I'm going to be really
treating
pissed if it's
psychologist or
not in
therapist or
here.
psychiatrist simply does a diagnostic interview, which involves assessing multiple.
Oh my
areas
God,
of a
my
person's
glue gun
history
is
back
stuck.
down through
Holy
I'm going to
childhood.
stop you for a second.
Yes.
What's a treating environment?
Sometimes I'll slip into these words. I apologize. So a treating environment in therapy, if somebody's going in for treatment,
She was really good, this
the
doctor.
mental health provider will ask them questions to find out what sort of symptoms there is. The client provides them. The most reliable
just
way, however, to
skipping
ever
through.
provide a diagnosis really is through a comprehensive psychological assessment. And I might.
Oh my
any
God, they better
objective
not have
measures,
cut it out
that
of
means
this.
that they've been tested, they've been shown to be, or someone might respond differently. You integrate that with the same interview.
Okay, we don't need to know how they test.
Person's entire life history, as well as very specifically looks at any symptoms they might have. This can start as far back as birth. You might find out if there were any issues with their delivery.
Okay, I think it's coming up after
How many
this.
times did they have to move? How were they as a student?
She's
How many
just
friends did they
basically
have?
explaining
What
how
sort of
they
jobs have they held? How did they
diagnose.
identify? You go through thinking that isn't necessarily in touch with reality, and any current distress they may be having today.
How did you conclude that Ms. Heard suffers from the personality?
Oh my God, I
disorders
think
that
they
you
cut it out of this one.
So there was information that supported it from multiple sources. I conducted testing, including one of the main tests that I used. She obtained scores that were consistent with those diagnoses. And I also, there was evidence of those diagnoses in her records and in her self-report.
right, council, why don't we just go ahead and pause for a second while we go and take our morning recess? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our 15-minute morning recess. Do not discuss the case.
Tell
and have
me
the outside
they.
research.
Oh my god! All right, so this isn't where she explains it. Oh, Jesus. All right, let's see. Let's see if she gets into it in this one. I can't remember. I fucking hate StreamYards.
Approximately how much time have you spent with Ms. Heard?
So the evaluation, we spent 12 hours directly
All
with
right,
one
so
another.
we saw all this. Let's skip through.
That make us who we are. And these traits are pretty stable over time.
This seems like the same exact video.
Start as far back as birth. You might find out if there were any issues with their
Right? This is the same as video. What the hell's going on here? All right. Let me go back and see if I can find. I want to find the one where she actually explains histrionic because it's so. It's so fucking. You'll see. Iter reads, maybe this is it. Hold on.
or even on the test alone, you integrate other data.
Okay.
How did you administer the MPI-2 to Ms. Heard?
I provided her the test on an iPad. She essentially had her own little desk area.
It comes
on an iPad.
after this.
She
Okay.
hit start.
Let me go forward a little bit.
Inner hostility that is attempted to be controlled.
Hold on.
She had a very sophisticated way of minimizing any personal problems.
Okay.
I also learned that she tends to, well, there were a number of characteristics that were consistent with the.
Let me go back a little bit.
One of the primary things I learned was that she had a very sophisticated way of minimizing any personal problems. I also learned that she tends to, well, there were a number of characteristics that were consistent with the eventual diagnoses, but some of the primary characteristics, I'm going to try to condense 25 pages here, were essentially externalization of blame, tending to have a lot of inner hostility that is attempted to be controlled.
Okay, so let's just keep all these like things in mind, right? She can't take blame for anything. They get a little more in depth in this, but she can't take blame for anything that she does. So let's keep that one symptom in
A
mind.
tendency to be very self-righteous, but to also deny that self-righteousness and to judge others.
Self-righteous, but denies the self-righteousness and then judges other people. Okay.
Critically against these sort of high standards for moral value, but also to deny doing that. Essentially to claim that one is very non-judgmental and accepting, and yet very full of rage, really. And these aren't facts, but her scores essentially correlated.
Who's this sounding like? Sounding familiar.
They were consistent with other people who obtained these scores, who have been shown through many, many, many studies to have these very specific traits. So externalization of blame, a lot of inner anger and hostility. Sometimes that anger among these groups with similar scores, these people might have that anger kind of explode out at times. They tend to be very passive aggressive. They may be self-indulgent, very self-centered. They could use manipulation tactics to try to get their needs met, very needy of attention.
Look at her face. Oh my God, that does happen. This thing's horrible. I'm sorry.
They tend to distance people who are close to them. Initially, they may seem very charming. They're very socially sophisticated, actually. That was a major component on there. They have a capacity to kind of offer some of their faults, but in a way, but only the ones that people think of lightly and can all relate to. And so they can present as very fair and balanced, but in actuality, they really might be very judgmental of others and unaware of problems in their behavior and their thinking.
So after you provide the examination via the iPad, what do you do?
So once they've completed the test,
there's
you
still
can have it
more.
scored by the computer immediately. It's a very, very complex test to interpret, but right away you get a list of what's called critical items. And these are just some, a couple of the items, the statements that are presented that are more clearly.
And the reason that this all came about, by the way, is because her defense, her attorneys, they tried to claim that she had PTSD from the abuse. So what this woman did was she gave her a test because she was saying, she explains this in this whole thing, that PTSD is probably one of the most commonly and overly faked, disorders that there is out there. People know how to fake it because it's so, popular nowadays. A lot of people have PTSD from, wars or whatever. So they could easily find out the symptoms and kind of react them. But there's a way, I don't know, she explains this whole thing about how they have like this other test that tests that to see if they're actually faking the symptoms, and the way that they present them and explain them, there's some way that they could tell if the symptoms of PTSD are being faked. And so that's why she had this whole evaluation to begin with.
Symptom-based, and I always follow up with the examinee. Some of these might have to do with suicide, some of them might have to do with other symptoms that you just like to get a little bit more information on, because sometimes an examinee might tell you they're completely fine when you're doing your interview with them and that they have no symptoms, and then when they take they're having trouble sleeping, or they struggle with nausea all the time, or they feel very anxious, and so you want to follow up on that.
Okay. What's a code type?
A code type.
All right,
Let me think of how to explain this.
Fast forward this a little.
The main scores that come up on scores.
We don't need to hear about
certain
the scores.
She's
just explaining how the testing works.
And that's a 2-6 code type. And these code types.
What code type was Ms. Hurd?
Ms. Hurd had the clearest code type was 3-6, but then she also had some other code types that were less significant.
What characteristics are associated with a 3-6 code type?
Okay.
So a 3-6 code type, a lot of that anger is expressed in this code type. There can be actually a lot of cruelty, usually with people who are less powerful.
Cruelty.
Actually, when you see this code type, you want to, if you can, to follow up with subordinates, coworkers, people who may have observed their behavior more closely. The 3-6 code type is very concerned with their image, very attention seeking.
I apologize. I have to restart.
Very prone to externalizing blame to a point where it's unclear whether they can even admit to themselves that they do have responsibility in certain areas.
Okay.
A lot of suppressed and denied anger, but the anger is very present, will explode out, and a lot of issues in their close relationships.
How does Ms. Hurd's code type fit in with your overall opinion as to personality disorders?
Well, this might be an appropriate time to describe a little bit about these personality disorders, because I think what you'll hear is that there's a lot of consistency there. So borderline personality disorder is a disorder of stability. It's instability, and it's instability in personal relationships. It's instability in their emotions. It's instability in their behavior.
Oh, wow.
And it's instability in their sense of self and their identity. And that instability is really driven by this underlying terror of abandonment. So one of the key features also of this disorder, I mean, all of it is like pistons of an engine kind of firing off and igniting one another. But when somebody is afraid of being abandoned by their partner or by anybody else in their environment, and they have this disorder, they'll make desperate attempts to prevent that from happening. And those desperate attempts could be physical aggression, it could be threatening, it could be harming themselves. But these are behaviors that are usually very extreme and very concerning to the people around them. The anger is typically what, sadly, it's counteracted, right? So the thing these people fear most is being abandoned. But over time, the anger, the explosive anger that they show when somebody is needing space, or when somebody's really not doing anything wrong, because a lot of times they read into things that they perceive as being a slight to them, or somebody intending to harm them that actually isn't happening. They'll exaggerate it, and they'll explode. They'll react in this heightened manner that is just exhausting.
In all these recordings that I listen to, that's like her main issue is always that he leaves the room while they're arguing. And he walks out of the room and she just like can't handle it. She can't handle that he's trying to get space away from her so that the argument just stops and doesn't escalate to a point where a finger gets severed. She just doesn't understand it. And it's in every recording, you could hear it.
For their partners, oftentimes their partners will try to make them happy at first and really allow themselves to be a punching bag, thinking that they can somehow solve this problem, that somehow they can make this better. And eventually it just overwhelms them. Histrionic personality disorder is very...
Before we move on.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the term emotional reactivity?
I am.
What is that?
So emotional reactivity is very common in the diagnosis. So essentially, like I said, there's instability in emotions. People with borderline personality disorder are often misdiagnosed as having bipolar disorder because they can be up and down. They can look very depressed, then they can look very elated. But these changes are happening within a matter of hours. Somebody with bipolar disorder, this is a clinical depression lasting days, weeks, a clinical mania where sometimes they even need to be hospitalized.
I hate StreamYards.
And go to Vegas and spend it all. They're acting in some very bizarre ways. With borderline personality disorder, you're having these fluctuating moods constantly. And again, this hypersensitivity to being slighted or feeling offended, really driven by the fear that if you're offended or slighted, if the therapist comes in 2 minutes late, or if somebody shows up.
I'm sorry, but this little part here is fucking Tiffany to the T.
Up to dinner 2 minutes late, that they might be abandoning you. And it's not as if the borderline is considering themselves abandoned in that moment, but they just know that they have this overwhelming emotion and there are no attempts to control that emotion. There are no attempts to regulate it. So if they're in the middle of the restaurant and they feel offended, they're going to start the fight. People are going to see it, or they might just start crying or break down, but they'll make a lot of accusations.
They might throw a coffee at somebody, an empty cup, if their coffee wasn't shaken, you know.
And that reactivity is when you're going to see a lot of this escalation of bizarre behavior. They can react violently. They can react aggressively. They will often physically prevent their partner from trying to leave if their partner wants to get space from all of this intense emotion. And oftentimes they will be abusive to their partners in these situations. Sometimes they'll physically restrain them from leaving and become injured that way. But also people with borderline personality disorder, it seems to be a predictive factor for women who implement violence.
Dolls, what's going on, girl? If you're feeling triggered, don't watch this, because I don't want you to be upset
Against their partner. And one of the most common tactics that they'll use is actually physically assaulting and then getting harmed themselves. But mostly we call this administrative violence. So essentially this is saying that they'll make threats using the legal system. So they might say that they are going to file a restraining order or claim abuse, or they might do these things to essentially try to keep their partner from leaving. In the moment, again, they're not consciously thinking, I'm going to keep my partner from leaving right now. They're just thinking, I can't stand this. I hate my partner. They went from idealizing to suddenly devaluing because of the hurt, and they'll do anything to express that big emotion of anger.
You want a melee approach?
And she really does that in this one that I listened to this morning. I mean, it's bad. I'm sorry if this is low. For some reason, this whole thing's low on every channel. It's really weird.
You were talking about emotional reactivity. What, if any, emotional reactivity did you observe in your review? And let's do this one at a time.
Okay. So there were a couple indications to me. First, I can sort of think about it with the treatment records. So particularly Dr. Cohen-Connell's. Am I getting the name right? I feel like for some reason in my mind, I might have just reversed it. But Dr. Cohen's records, I did reverse it. He actually refers to this reactivity quite a bit and to Ms. Hurd's temper. And that temper is all the disordered contradictions.
This thing drives me nuts.
In Nurse Filati's notes, I thought there was something interesting. She references a night when they're out to dinner, I believe in London, and she provided positive reinforcement to Ms. Hurd because Ms. Hurd had been disappointed by a mistake made by the server. And it sort of references how previously she might have criticized the server and become upset.
Oh, in the testimony this morning too, one of his bodyguards testified, and she was criticizing the bodyguard for his profession. Like, what the fuck? She was criticizing him, like putting him down and basically, putting him beneath her because he's a bodyguard and he's an ass kisser. That's what she called him. This woman's sick.
By that, and that she didn't this time. And so that had been some sort of a step forward. And there was also an indication actually in Dr. Hughes's. Dr. Hughes is a forensic psychologist who had been appointed by Ms. Hurd.
No, she was not.
As well. In Ms. Hughes's interview of Ms. Hurd disclosed that she had cut her arm in the past, which is a typical reactive type thing somebody with this diagnosis can do. It's one of the symptoms. And that's sort of all I can think of top of my mind from the treatment records. Moving into some of the declarations or deposition testimony. What struck me was Ms. Raquel Pennington's testimony. She's a former friend of Ms. Hurd's, and she told a story about, I suppose they were shopping for Thanksgiving accoutrements, something to prepare for Thanksgiving, and Ms. Hurd struck her in the face.
Who hits their friend?
Which is, I thought was interesting because
that's
one of those signs of borderline personality disorder where if a friend or a loved one isn't meeting your needs in that moment, borderline.
Oh my God, this thing is, what is going on here? Hello, internet, you suck. What happened? It's still... That's weird. It's still playing, but she's paused for some reason. What the hell happened? Their video is messed up. It's not mine. It's a video because the ticker's still running.
Person goes from being idealized to dumpster. They are totally devalued. They are the worst friend. They don't care anything about me. I have better people around. And then there will be a repair because the person with this disorder does feel remorseful after they have these reactions, angry, tell their friend off. But over time, it wears away at these relationships. And so what you'll usually see is many, many transitions in their friendships over the years, people who have sort of fallen by the wayside, who were
Hold on, I'm
really
going up here.
very close-knit at one time, and then there's not a lot of consistency in the long term. You'll also see that with their intimate relationships.
Paige, I've been the girl, and you know what? Sometimes for your own good, you have to, for your own sanity. Okay, sorry. This thing's so annoying. I'm gonna have to restart my computer. Um, it's sad and it hurts and it's confusing, sometimes, but you have to do it for your own sanity. If somebody's, whether they're family or not, and that was a very hard thing for me to do, was to turn my back on family members that I cared so much about. But over time, I've started to realize that for me, it's for the better. For my kid, it's for the better. If it's just up to me, I could handle it. But the stress that it brought me, it's not worth it. I have to think about my husband, my son, and how my happiness, is affecting them. And honestly, it sucks, but it's necessary sometimes. And that doesn't mean that you have to turn your back on her forever, but maybe it's just for now. It sucks. I feel your pain, is what I guess I'm trying to say.
Many, many relationships, but none that are particularly long-term.
How does borderline personality disorder relate to identity issues?
So again, that instability also travels toward identity. When I was describing personality earlier, I was talking a little bit about those traits we have that help us know who we are. When you have borderline personality disorder, that actually is not something you understand. So people with this disorder actually take on the identity of the people they're spending time with because it's comforting. It's very uncomfortable to not know who you are. Some people with this disorder.
That's interesting because somebody was saying, and I forget where I heard this, but when she met Johnny Depp, she kind of like totally switched her style up and started dressing more like boho and, more to like match his style. And I've seen a lot of people do this in life where like they'll just completely, my brother is actually one of those people where like he just goes through these like weird fucking phases. He has like an identity crisis or some shit. I don't know, where like he'll just completely change everything about himself, depending on who he's with. If he's dating this girl, he dresses this way. When he's dating, like all his girlfriends, relationships that he's been in, even friendships, he changes who he is. His not that he has borderline personality disorder. I don't think he does. I'm just saying that like I've seen people do that where they take on the identity of like a person that they're with. It's very weird to me. I don't know. I find it strange.
Will describe a feeling of emptiness when they feel like they've been abandoned because now they don't know who they are in the world. And so when somebody with this disorder is going through that initial enmeshment phase with new people and they're idealizing them,
18,
they often will take on the identities of those people.
This is so annoying. I apologize. 18. Wow, that's a long time, more than enough, but I'm sure you're happier. And I didn't realize it at first when I stopped talking to like, aunts, uncles, people that I talk to all the time, my brother. Like I didn't realize how much they were affecting me until, a couple of years went by and I was like, wow, and it's really only been recent. I mean, it's been like 4 or 5 years now. And it's really only been like recent that I've realized like fully now that the amount of stress that they were like putting on me that I had in my life because of my family. Like I just never fucking realized it because it was normal to me at the time, and then the minute I realized that it's not normal and I don't have to fucking put up with it, it was hard, but it was necessary. And now the further away I get from, being part of that toxic environment, the more I realize that it was really toxic and I'm just better off not, ever fucking looking back, basically. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life too, honestly.
may mimic them in
For
a lot
my
of
own
ways. It might mimic the way
sanity.
they dress, their interests, the way they talk. And for this reason, the people around somebody with this disorder kind of from the outside may feel like, wait, I thought you were this way. Now you're advocating for this, and this is your new main interest in life, or the thing you're throwing yourself into all completely. Music tastes might change. Hobby.
I know people that do this in my personal life that I don't think they necessarily have a personality disorder, besides my brother. There's a couple of people that I was friends with in my life that have done this. Like, they just, like, all of a sudden will completely change, like, everything, their beliefs, their fucking music that they listen to. Like, I just, like, I don't get that. I've always, like, I don't know. I guess because I've always consistently been the same throughout my life for the most part. I mean, of course, I get new interests and stuff like that, but like, the core me has always been the same. Like, I've always preferred to listen to rap music since I was a kid, and R&B, like, over rock and roll music. Like, but I've seen people in my personal life that, like, all of a sudden just completely drop, this thing that they loved at one time, and then they become, like, totally into something that's just polar opposite of it. And it's so fucking weird to me. It's just so weird that people could do that. And then their beliefs change, and it's very strange.
Will change the way they dress. To the same cluster.
I hate
these
streaming
clusters. It's a
with
way
a
of organizing
passion.
personality disorders in that DSM.
Yes,
And this
exactly.
cluster
Life
is
reminded.
described as the personality disorders that are traumatic, erratic, and emotional. Okay, so unpredictable, but really having to do with emotions and relationships. They're very similar. Whereas I was saying that borderline personality disorder, a lot of the key features that you're going to notice
Here's
are
the
instability.
histrionic part.
When it comes to histrionic, a lot of the key features are going to be drama and shallowness.
Okay.
Similarly, with borderline
Who does
personality
this sound
disorder,
like?
there's this underlying drive of avoiding abandonment. With histrionic personality disorder, that underlying drive is to always be the center of attention. Because if you don't have that attention on you, it feels similarly to borderline personality disorder. You feel pretty empty, like you don't have that sense of being or value. Okay, so whereas borderline personality disorder might have more of the visible reactivity if somebody seems to be leaving, with histrionic personality disorder, what you're going to see is extreme discomfort with not being the center of attention, extreme efforts to be the center of attention. And when they feel that they're not the center of attention, you will see some strange things, making up stories to try to get attention, often taking on a victim or princess role. Those two roles in particular are pretty.
Who does this sound like? Somebody on here that we all know. Listen closely, because it totally describes this person.
Consistent, seeking caretaking. Borderline personality disorder is similar because with borderline personality disorder, they shift identity and the splitting. You might see somebody go from being, in the DSM, it describes it as a needy supplicant of help, seeking the perfect caretaker, to suddenly being the avenger against injustice or thinking that their partner is a terrible person. With histrionic, what you'll see is somebody who wants to be the center of attention, has sort of that impressionistic speech, very flowery, very enthusiastic, but nothing's really being said.
Oh my God, that's so her, dude. That's so her. Like, seriously, she's like really enthusiastic, impressionistic speak, but nothing's being said. Like, dude, there's no better way I could describe this woman than that. Wanting to be the center of attention, the flowery speech, where it's just like she's talking, but there's no substance to any of it. Nothing ever fucking makes sense. She always goes off on these tangents that, like, you're like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've listened to her on, even when like Burnt Toast or somebody's like reviewing her, and I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, somebody will ask her a question and she just goes off on this whole tangent that has nothing to do with the question that was asked. Nothing. And it's like, she's trying to sound intelligent and smart, but it's she's not even telling a story properly. Oh, it's word salad.
The moment your attention wears away because they're so demanding for attention, that's when they might take the victim role or the princess role. And you
This thing's so annoying. I hate StreamYards, and there's no fix for it.
to bolster the victim role. Sometimes those stories are just to make them look more interesting or accomplished in their mind so that they can get respect and attention that way.
Oh my God, hold on. Let's go back to that.
Sometimes because they're so enthusiastic, but nothing's really being said. The moment your attention wears away because they're so demanding for attention, that's when they might take the victim role or the princess role and even make up stories. Sometimes those stories are to bolster the victim role. Sometimes those stories are just to make them look more interesting or accomplished in their mind so that they can get respect and attention that way.
Yes, all of it.
Relation between histrionic personality disorder and attractiveness.
There is, strangely, and this is always one of the trickiest things to talk about because how is that a symptom? But characteristically, people with this disorder are very, very interested in looks, but more importantly, they utilize their looks to get that attention, to get that respect that they're seeking. And so this type of study, characteristically, they actually can even be subtly, and when I say flirtatious, I'm not talking overtly sexy, but kind of inappropriately flattering. Sometimes they act in a kind of a girlish way to be cute.
Dude, like, hello. I mean, this whole fucking thing is explaining her to the fucking T. You know, the obsession with looks and, you know, things that she has, like just all of it. Oh my God.
Gender attention. And this will even occur in their therapy relationships as a way to sort of.
I really never knew much about histrionic personality disorder. So to hear it described like this in this detail with examples, I'm like, holy shit. Because I've heard obviously people describe her, and I've described her as histrionic, which is just somebody who's very needy for attention, you know, but to hear all this detail about it, it's like, dude, like, wow, just all of it. Every single thing that she's saying right now, if you apply it to her, it's her described to a T.
Avoid getting negative feedback or criticism. Oftentimes they'll bring the therapist gifts or be distracting if they engage in therapy because they just don't want any criticism. They want the therapist to like them.
Does the intelligence of the affected person bear on the manner in which these disorders present?
Excuse me, I took a little bit of water. Yes, and I think one way to think about it that's probably a little more accurate than just intelligence is in psychology, we would describe this more as sophistication. So street smart, so to speak. The way, for instance, I've had many clients who have borderline personality disorder who are messy and really clearly suffering. And they might be difficult and all over the place and yell at you in the middle of a session, but it's so... it's not tailored. It's so much easier to work with because of that just openness and rawness of it, genuineness. Sometimes
all right.
Sophisticated presentation. There are 9 symptoms and only 5 have to be met. So there are a lot of different combinations and different ways it can present. And sometimes you'll have more of a petulant version of this where it really shows when you push the button and you're kind of, whoa, what was that? So somebody who's really productive, high functioning, successful, and you get to know them and you think they're fantastic because they're so interested in you too. And you may not realize it, but they're mimicking you perfectly. So you're really just kind of falling in love with this new friend who is being you. But then all of a sudden,
that's so creepy.
You say something that they think is offensive.
Bye, Natalie.
You can't even in your wildest thoughts understand how that could have offended somebody, but their reaction is so strong that you kind of buy into it. Gosh, maybe I did say something offensive and you feel bad about it. So that sophisticated version, they can be a little bit more calculated in the way they present. They tend to kind of hit you where it hurts a little bit more. And they can be actually very, very destructive.
What conclusions were you able to draw about Ms. Hurt's sophistication from her testing?
That is so her.
From her testing and from her presentation, she was very likable, but her testing in particular showed that she approached it in a manner that, remember I told you about those scales that are pretty neat. She approached it in a manner that very clearly minimized any psychological dysfunction, not just that, but really presented herself as free of any problems. And she did so in a way that was very, very sophisticated, not obvious, by responding to questions that most people might not notice were trying to detect that.
That's interesting.
How did you determine that?
So that's based on a particular scale on the MMPI-2 that.
Okay, so I think she's done talking about that. And I'm going to switch over, hold on a second, to my phone just so that I could stop this annoying muting thing that is happening here. Oh, I can't stand when my laptop does this. I don't know how to fix it. There's no fix for it. I've written to StreamYard. Hold on. That's terrible. Ooh. All right. Let me just restart this. What a pain in the ass. But yeah, I mean, I thought that her whole testimony was really interesting. I mean, just to hear that described in such detail, like the need for attention, the whole thing, honestly, just I was like, wow, she's describing MGL. That's so crazy. So crazy. Yeah, she nailed it. She totally nailed it. Nicole Kessinger did this to Chris Watts. I guess in a sense she did, you know. I don't know. I don't know too much about their relationship to say whether or not she did that, but it seems that way. But, you know, I don't know what she was into prior to her meeting him. You know what I'm saying? As far as her um ugh, I hate baby talk, Judith. I can't stand that shit. I just can't. There's such a deep-seated hatred for Nicole Kessinger, and I get it. I get why people hate her so much. It's just crazy to me. I don't know. I mean, she was wrong in dating a married man, but I don't know. Well, she was into fitness. I mean, which I think she was. Looking at her, she looks like she was into fitness. Cars and stuff. Who knows? Who knows? But he's the type of man who seemed to attract that type of woman. So, really, that these types of people, like narcissists and these types of people, they could really sense out certain types of people that they take advantage of, basically, and victimize in their lives. Like, I feel like my brother is one of those people where he just always tends to attract these really needy, emotionally needy women. You know, almost every girlfriend he's had has been just extremely emotionally needy. You know, it's just, it got worse over time. I mean, his current fucking succubus, whatever the fuck she is, you know, she's on another level than any of the other ones. But I think it's his kind nature that like attracts these people. They see somebody who's very willing to please, because he is, you know, when he's in a relationship with somebody, he's a people pleaser. And I feel like they if you think about it, Johnny Depp, when you hear him described by his friends and, you know, even his sister, he seems to kind of be the same way. He's kind of a people pleaser, you know. Like, he gives people opportunities, and, you know, he helps his friends out, and those are the perfect type of people to take advantage of, you know, that these people kind of suss out and look for so that they could take advantage of them in that way. And it's fucking sick and it's sad. But your brother does sound like Johnny. He is. And so that's what, you know, it's interesting to me just to hear this, you know, because so many times that I remember when my brother, when this whole thing first started happening, like, I hope that this opens the world's eyes to women being the like abusers in relationships, because I feel like there's such a stigma attached to men being victims of abuse from women, you know, like, you're looked at as a pussy, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're letting your wife control your life and da da da. But it happens, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're a wuss or whatever you want to call the person. It's just, you know, you get entangled in this love affair, because what these people do is, like she was just saying, like, they mirror you, right? And they pretend to be into everything that you're into. You know, like, when I met my husband, I made no bones about it. I was like, listen, dude, I don't like fucking football. You watch football. Like, I'm not going to pretend to like something just so that you like me, because you think I like something that you like. That's just not who I am. But these people, what they do is they purposely mirror the person that they're trying to, you know, pursue. And they, you know, Johnny even says it, that the things that they had in common in the beginning was, they, you know, she was into this like obscure jazz music. Like, was she really, you know, or was she just pretending? Maybe he doesn't even realize yet that that was all part of the act. Because to me personally, I think that she only, you know, maybe at first had an attraction to him, but let's face it, he's a older man. He's still a good looking man, but he's an older man, you know, he's in his 50s. And she's in her early 30s, I believe. He was in a relationship. So he was I don't think he was married, but he was in a committed relationship at the time. I don't know if they were having issues or what the story was, right? When him and Amber met, they were, on a movie set together, filming this movie. And he's Johnny Depp. This isn't like people use lesser celebrities, right, to gain fame and stuff. But this guy's a fucking A-list Hollywood fucking legend. This is like marrying one of the greats, like a Brad Pitt. And I never even heard of her before. I've never heard of this woman until this trial. I had no idea who she was. So she's not on his level when it comes to, career wise, I guess. He's an A-list actor. He's a very talented. He's always taken on, good roles for the most part. I mean, every actor has some shitty movies, that just goes with the territory, but he's highly respected in Hollywood. He always has been. And I think she used him to gain fame. And I don't think she was ever really truly in love with him. I think she was in love with the idea of him, that he was famous, that he's rich, that he has all these houses, that he could help boost her career, and get her somewhere where I don't think she would have ever gotten, on anything. It's just like, it's really crazy to think though, when I was like listening to this the other night, because I mean, of course, at the end of the day, Johnny Depp's just a person, he breathes the same air as us, he bleeds the same as us. But it's like, dude, like, how many women out there would kill to be the wife of Johnny Depp? Like, and this woman's married to him. I mean, when I was younger, I'm sure when all of us in here were younger, because we're all around the same age, those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s, like, dude, Johnny Depp was the fucking man. I mean, you couldn't go into a grocery store or gas station and not see that guy on the cover of some magazine back in like his 21 Jump Street days. And he's managed to keep a pretty good career throughout that whole, how many years now, and it's like he's respected, and she's sitting there ripping on him. I wouldn't either, Remy. He's not my type. Run into like that, long hair, like kind of like messy, I don't know, look. But I mean, I can see he's a good looking guy, he's just not the type of man that I would go for. But like, there is so many women out there. I mean, there's no denying that when he was in his prime, in his younger day, he was gorgeous. He's a good looking man, and she's beautiful too. But she's just, there's nothing about her, in my personal opinion. I've never really seen her acting, so I can't really comment on that. But just looks wise, there's nothing about her that's like, so, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Great. Like, she's pretty average looking to me as far as Hollywood standards go. You know what I'm saying? She's not anything that like stands out, like Angelina Jolie, who's just beautiful and exotic looking. She's got the bright blue eyes, the dark hair, her body's absolutely perfect. Like, I feel like Amber's got a more generic look. I mean, she's beautiful, but she's also kind of generic, if that makes sense. Sorry, but her particular looks come a dime a dozen. She is not that beautiful to call makeup. Walking out of the courthouse with fake bruises, she looked very average. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. She doesn't, as far as like Hollywood standards go, right? She's not like anything that stands out to me. She looks like just, a pretty girl, but nothing insane. The fact that him and her, she landed Johnny Depp, pretty crazy. But I feel like there's a big age gap between them that might be part of their problem, because she seems to be very immature, or seem to be, but I mean, if you listen to this recording that I listened to this morning, you really hear it. You really hear the immaturity, the way she's just taunting him. And it's just like, dude, you're no fucking abuse victim. Because if you were, like I said before, you just don't do anything to provoke fights. What I see in these recordings, all these recordings that I've heard, that I've listened to, is him trying to run away from the fight, avoid the fight. That's not what an abuser does. The abuser doesn't ever want to leave the fight. The abuser loves the fight, that they thrive on it. So, him always leaving the room, that's not what the abuser does. The abuser doesn't leave the room. The abuser abuses. That's what they do. They want to keep you enmeshed and tangled in the argument. And that's exactly what I see her doing. And it's insane. And it's really a shame that it had to come to this for them, because he was like, I would describe him as a fucking mystery. He was like, nobody really knew much about his personal life. You would hear, oh, he's dating this one or that one, but like nobody really knew too much about him on a personal level prior to this shit. And it just sucks that his whole, like, imagine that somebody like him, who was a very private person prior to this shit, right? Your life comes down to, let me expose all these personal embarrassing things about me, like, that you had to get to that point where you finally were like, you know what, the risk far outweighs the benefit. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm sorry, the benefit far outweighs the risk. He's exposing his drug use, the fact that he was addicted to painkillers, cocaine use, drinking, and just embarrassing fights. I mean, nobody wants to have their dirty or laundry aired out like that. That's horrible. But to have that, like, to have to make that choice, that like doing that is somehow beneficial, it's going to benefit you in the end. I would hate to be faced with that choice. I mean, you're talking a personal marriage relationship. It's sacred, and to talk, I don't know. That's just how I see marriage. You just don't talk about your marriage like that and expose those types of things to people if they're happening, and it's like, he had to say to himself one day, you know what? I have to do this. Well, Carla, that's a huge reason I think why he's doing this is because of his kids. They were hearing in school that the dad's an abuser and he beats women up. And I mean, that's not fair, that his kids are suffering. I mean, she really fucking destroyed this guy. And that's what these fucking people do. I feel like it's just horrible. It really is. Like, I look at my brother like a Johnny Depp, he don't realize it now, but his life was destroyed in a way. Do I believe that him and his wife get along? I don't know. I don't see them. Maybe they get along perfectly now. I got a little peek into their issues, when I was still talking to him at the time. And that was very early on in their marriage and their relationship. And I think that it's gotten better? No. Personally, no. I don't think abuse ever gets better. I think it just gets worse over time. You could try. I mean, anybody who's been in an abusive relationship will tell you that. And the therapist even said it in this, is that, for a while, you kind of allow yourself to be the punching bag of this person because you think that somehow it's going to change them. If I just allow them to take out all their issues on me and like get it out, then they'll stop eventually. But it doesn't work like that. It just worsens over time. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, and then you gain like a Stockholm syndrome. You start making excuses for the person in your head. Oh, they had a rough life, whatever it is. I don't know much about her life, Amber, as far as like, I don't know what her childhood was like or any of those types of things, but it's just crazy. Wait, Johnny Depp, kids in school, they actors just like him. Chick, that's what he said in his testimony. At the time when these things were being written, his kids were in school. They're young. I mean, they're probably in their early 20s, maybe late teens. So, at the time when this was all happening, you have to remember that this all happened back prior to like 2016, which is 5 years ago or almost 6 years now, you know? So this has been going on for, you know, a long time. It's just obviously, I guess their case got delayed because of COVID and who knows, you know, what else. But they've been enmeshed in this for a long time. That was another stupid thing I heard Laura say about this. She's like, "Oh, they got to move on with their lives." I'm like, it's not it's not that they're not moving on with their lives. It's that this happened in 2016. This article was written in 2016 that's just gotten delayed. There's been all sorts of problems and now it's finally, you know, gone to trial. So it's not that they're actively trying to, you know, hurt each other anymore. At least I don't think. It's just that, you know, things got delayed and that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. Can't stand people that constantly downgrade their significant other in public or on social media. It's disgusting. Yeah, always ripping them, never sharing your part in the relationship. Yeah, it's pretty fucking gross, dude. It really is. It's just really sick when, like, I can imagine. I remember listening to the sister's testimony and just feeling like I could totally relate with it. In fact, a lot of the people, you know, testified that they were concerned when he married her and shit. And it's when you're in an abusive relationship, you know, you're blind. You don't see what's going on. You know, this person comes into your life and all you know is that they're showering you with the most love and attention and adoration that you've ever felt in your life. And you're like so high on it that you like, you're not catching on to the red flags. And even when you do, you always find an excuse for it. You're like, no, it's because of this, or it's because of that, or, you know, you always try to make some type of excuse for the behavior. I know I did. And I know many people do, you know, oh, it's because of this, or they had a rough day, or, you know, they had a fight with their mom. Like, you just try to make all these excuses for them. But when you're watching it happen to somebody else, that's fucking weird because you see it all. You know, I have nothing invested in this person. I'm just seeing all the signs. That's all I'm seeing is I'm sitting back and I'm watching all the signs because I know all the signs now, you know, and it's like watching a fucking train like crash. And I feel like all his friends and family were sitting back watching him in that way. You know, they knew, I think pretty much off the gate that she was, you know, no good, but they had to go to this wedding and they just had to sit there and, you know, hope to God that he eventually opened his eyes to it one day. And he did. Because I personally I don't look at him. Yes, is he a victim? Yeah, he's a victim. But I don't look at him as some innocent victim. You know what I'm saying? He obviously also has a very strong personality. You know, he's very sarcastic. And I think that he stood his ground against her. But that doesn't mean that he also wasn't a pushover in some ways. You know, there's some men who will, and women, you know, who will stay in abusive relationships for fucking their entire life because, you know, they're just so committed to the person and wanting to help them and feeling bad for them and, you know, all that, trying to understand them. And I think he was more, well, I think they both kind of mutually obviously wanted their relationship to end, but I think he stood his ground, you know, a lot more than a lot of other people do in relationships, or at least it seems that way. Do I think he was abusive? No. Physically abusive? No. But I do know that people like that, right? I know my ex-boyfriend, like, he used to bring me to places that I've never gone to with my husband because he would bring out the fucking worst in me. You know, this guy, he just brought the fucking worst out in me because the fights, the torture, the fucking, dude, I'm telling you, man, when somebody's like playing those mind games with you, the psychological torture when they're interrogating you and questioning you and this, you know, just keeping you trapped in these circular arguments and not letting you leave and, you know, almost like depriving you of sleep. I mean, that's what my ex used to do to me. He would just keep me in these like fucking, I can't even explain it. It's almost hard to explain, but just these arguments, like the same thing that I'm hearing her doing to him basically in these videos, where it's just like they just keep you going and going and going, and you just keep going over the same fucking thing, 100,000 times, but it never gets anywhere. There's never any resolve, no matter what you say. I'm telling you, it really fucks their head up, and it could bring you to places, because after a while you just start to like bug out. It's like when they put people in solitary confinement. You could put a totally sane person in solitary confinement for like 2 months, and that I watched a whole documentary about this shit. It's fucked up. I mean, what solitary confinement can do to your brain. So I can only imagine, what the long-term effects of these circular conversations, and I mean, there was a testimony today from his bodyguard that he threw, I guess he like destroyed her closet or something like that. But I get that, man. I get that. You just get so fed up with this shit that these people are putting you through, that like you have these bouts of anger when you can, when you can show your anger, that normally you probably wouldn't do, but it comes out because of all the psychological torture that they're putting you through. All right, let me try getting back on my laptop here. Hold on a second. Let me just remove Pug's thing. Okay, so hold on. Sorry about the noise. That noise is so terrible. Okay, hopefully it won't mute me. Keep arguing to prevent sleep, especially if living together. I used to lock myself in the bathroom, sleep in the tub with earplugs in. I had to go to work. Yeah, Remy. I mean, I didn't live with my ex, but he would keep me out. Like, we'd be like in a car, confined in a car, and he would just fucking hammer me all night about different things, like that. Not even different things, just the same thing. But a lot of the times when you're, in a relationship like that and you're fighting, all like everything that's ever pissed them off comes up in this fucking circular crazy argument. And it's just like, it's sleep deprivation. I just remember I used to go to class and just be so fucking tired and be like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the fuck? Which closet? I don't know which closet it was. I forget. But he basically like wanted her out. I think it was after she had punched him gave him a black eye, and then he flipped out on the bodyguard, and when they had gotten downstairs, and he was like, this is your fault, he kind of blamed the bodyguard. But I mean, listen, these are normal reactions, but that's what this abuse is kind of designed to do, right? They drive you crazy to the point where you fucking come out of your character, right? You come out of your face and you react to their abuse. So you do something stupid like punch a wall or destroy something, and then they turn around and they're like, you're the crazy one, you're the abuser. And they gaslight you into thinking that you're the abuser, and that's exactly what she's doing to him. She punched him, gave him a black eye. They had this whole big fight in front of people. And then, she turns around, he destroys her closet as a reaction to the fucking abuse that he just endured, right? And then she fucking turns around, now he's the abuser because he destroyed the closet. This morning, the video I was listening to, there's one point where like she keeps walking away. I believe he called an Uber or something for her to get her out of the house. And I'm not sure exactly at what point in time this argument was. Like, I'm not too familiar with the timeline. But anyway, every fucking time he's sitting there quietly, okay? She leaves, and then all of a sudden she comes back and just starts the whole fucking fight over again. At one point in time, he picks up the guitar, and you just kind of hear him like kind of lightly strumming on the guitar, and she fucking comes back in and starts the fight up again with him. So it's like, if he's the abuser, he'd be doing that. She's the one who keeps coming back in and reigniting the fire while he's trying to do something to distract himself away from the fight, from the argument. And she just keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. And it's like, holy shit, man. See you later, Judith. Can you imagine your husband a black guy? No. Like, absolutely not. I can't even imagine like getting into a fight with him where it would even come to something like that. Like, I just can't. I wouldn't be married if I had you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way I would ever have married somebody if our fights have gotten that fucking bad. There's just no fucking way. There's no way. Like, you really do have to feel bad for the guy that he fucking endured all this. I mean, she really did beat the shit out of him. And I think a lot of that was for her to try to get him to hit her, because they will do that. These people, they're fucking sick. They're absolutely sick. Nana, me too. I've been listening. I just can't wait until she gets on the stand, because I feel like that's going to be one of the best examples of, you know, a borderline, just, you know, being cornered by people, questioned. I know she had been questioned, you know, in another setting when they had the other trial in what was it, in London or whatever, in Britain, but she, or the UK, I don't know, I forget. Well, it's all the same, but I'm just saying, I don't know exactly where in the UK it was, but this time it's going to be a little different because you're in a courtroom. It's televised. Okay. So it's the whole world is watching this live right now. I mean, when I go into the certain chats, I've been watching the Umbrella Guy lately. He's been my go-to for the stream. I was watching the Law and Crime for a while, and then I decided to go to the Umbrella Guy because I like him. He's been covering this trial for years. I mean, he's been, you know, not the trial, but he's been covering their story basically for years. So I went into his stream today, and you know, he's got some funny commentary and stuff, and he knows a lot about this. Plus, I think he also I don't know if he's a psychologist or some type of therapist or something. So he also has a little bit of a psychology background. And I personally, you know, I like that. I'm very interested in that kind of shit. Like just human behavior. I don't know, fascinates me. I tell you guys this all the time. I like fucked up people fascinate me. I don't know what it is, you know. Maybe I should have been a fucking psychiatrist. Because I really it's just fascinating to me. And I really like to, like, I don't know, watch fucked up people. I don't know why. But anyway, he gives good commentary. And I forgot totally where the fuck I was going there. Oh shit, Paige, I watched Cinema Shogun. I felt so bad about his finger. I have to admit, he annoyed me a little bit with the laundry case sometimes, but I like him as a person. So I subscribed to his channel. And then when he cut his finger off, oh my God, I felt so bad for him. He cut his little pinky off. He's a big dude. I felt so bad that he lost his whole pinky. But yeah, he's on top of everything. He's good. But anyway, yeah, so she's gonna be, there's a lot more pressure this time when she's on, you know, that was basically, I guess, a deposition. It seemed more like this is, you know, you're on the stand, you're in front of everybody, it's televised, it's live. Like, there's a lot of more pressure. So it'll almost, to me, it'll feel like watching Jodi Arias all over again, because as fucked up as that woman is, and as much as I can't stand her, she was very fascinating to watch on. I mean, obviously, how many views did they have? I mean, some of these chats have 300,000 people. I think that's where I'm going before I got distracted, but 300,000 people in the chat that are watching this trial at a time, you know, that's just in one chat. So there's a lot of people with eyes on this, you know. That's not counting who's, I think it's being televised, right? Like on court TV or something. I mean, her attorneys are very annoying, Carla. Her attorneys are infuriating. Are you talking about Jodi Arias' attorneys or Amber's? Because a lot of people hated Jodi Arias' attorneys too. I didn't mind them so much. I just thought her one attorney, Kirk Nermi, was completely fucking like hard to listen to. He was so slow of a talker, but I didn't, you know, think he's a bad person or anything. I think he just was stuck in a fucked up situation with an asshole as a client, which could probably be said for Amber's attorneys too, you know. They really don't have much to work with. I see a lot of people in comment sections because I always read the comments. No matter what video I'm watching, I always read the comments for some reason. And I see a lot of people kind of, in a sense, like defending them, like, well, it's not their fault, you know, their client, they don't have much to work with. And like, I guess, you know, they don't. And I think that's making them look stupid. She's making them look stupid a bit because her evidence just isn't holding up, you know, like the Amica. Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, their lines of questioning is terrible. Like when they did the cross examination of Johnny Depp, right? I've watched now. This is the first time I've ever watched like a defamation trial, so I don't really, you know, I'm not familiar with how these work, but I have watched other trials before, criminal trials. Usually, the questioning, right, will make some type of sense, right? They're kind of fucking all over the place with their questioning. You know, they skip from one place to the other, and it's like they're not even doing it like in a linear way where it's like in order, and it's just very messy. The whole thing, it's very messy. When he was cross-examining Johnny Depp, it was fucking all over the place, dude. You know, Rottenborn, that guy's such an asshole. I'm sorry. That guy, the woman is, she's bad, but Rottenborn is just, he's fucking intolerable. I explained him in a comment section yesterday as like that kid, which I explain a lot of people like this that have that kind of personality type, where you know that motherfucker was the one when you were sitting in class and you're like, there's like 50 seconds left before the bell rings, you know, and you're like, oh, the teacher forgot to assign the homework. They forgot to give the homework assignment. And like the whole class knows it, you know, and everybody's just like counting down, staring at the clock, like we're out of here in 5 minutes. That's when Rottenborn, okay, because that's him. That's the type of guy he is, I could tell, raised his hand in class and was like, excuse me, Mr. So-and-so, you forgot to give us our homework assignment, you know? Like you could just tell he was that type of motherfucker. That like he's like a tattletale. Like he's just like a dick. You could just tell he's an arrogant fucking asshole. I just ugh. He's like a little tattletale in the courtroom. And then the female attorney is the biggest ass kisser to the judge. Well, he is too. You know, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you very much. He's a fucking ass kisser. You could just tell. He was one of those teacher, you know, one of those kids that used to kiss the teacher's ass, and you know, he's just a douche. They seem to be, and I'm usually fair to attorneys like in trials, just to make that clear, because like during the, you know, Jodi Arias trial, when I watched that, everybody was like hated her attorneys. I do think Wilmot's a dingbat, sorry, because she like still believes Jodi Arias is innocent. I just watched something recently on that. She still thinks that it's self-defense. But you know, Nermi, I kind of felt bad for the guy. I mean, he was boring as fuck to listen to, but he was like a schlep. Like you just kind of felt bad for him, you know, like this big, you know, slow slug that was. You kind of had to feel bad for him. A lot of people didn't. They hated him, but I used to look at it like, dude, listen, somebody's got to do this job. Just like people hated Jose Baez, you know, for Casey Anthony's attorney. Like, dude, these people somebody has to fucking defend these pieces of shit, unfortunately, you know? So I try to not be like personal with the attorneys, but this motherfucker, there's something about his personality. He's very rude, condescending. He's just an asshole. You could just tell. Arnica cream is used after plastic surgery. Well, that was the funny part, Beth, is because I had never heard of it before. So I type in Amica cream, like the way she was saying it, and it turns out that that's not even a thing. It's Arnica cream. And it's kind of one of those products that, to me, at least, it seems that, you know, you don't really know if it works or not. Like, you know, they say it helps, but who knows if it's really helping. Like it's a cream to go over bruises. You know, is there clinical studies? And even if she put it on, right, that doesn't mean that the bruise is going to be gone and the swelling is going to be gone. So it's a kind of stupid argument, you know, because like even if you have a bruise, right, I've had bruises before that when I had my nose done, right? I had 2 black eyes and I tried every trick in the book to disguise it. Dude, you could still tell that my eyes, first of all, were puffy, my nose was swollen, and you could still, even with the, good job I thought I did at the time, you could still see the swelling and the shadow, a little bit of a shadow. It's just like when you cover a pimple. Any girl who wears makeup knows this, right? When you cover a pimple with foundation, the pimple doesn't disappear. You can still see the pimple. You're really just trying to cancel the redness out when you're covering up a pimple with makeup, right? So you can still see the pimple though. The pimple doesn't go away because it just becomes a little less obvious. So I mean, she personally, even in the courtroom, doesn't look like she wears that much makeup. She just doesn't really seem to strike me as a person who goes full glam every day like Jeffree Star. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying it. I don't know if I'm buying it about the makeup. Yes, Ellie, that was the Milani, whatever it was, some quad, which I don't know. I was kind of like, really, would Amber Heard be buying Milani to cover up her scars? Like, I don't know. She, like, when they were talking about sunscreen the other day, they're like, yeah, she has Shiseido, whatever the hell it is, but she's buying Milani. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. Somebody was saying something in the trial today. They were asking about bruising as far as like Botox treatments go. So some of the bruising, who knows? She could have had Botox done. Like even it, I don't think she had any bruising. I just don't. I've seen pictures of people after they've gotten their fucking asses kicked, and those pictures of her where there's like bruising, but there's like fucking no swelling. Like make that make sense. Like a bruise, right? What a bruise is your blood pooling under your skin. So there's always going to be swelling along with that. Well, not always. I guess there's times, but on your face where your skin is thin, I would just think that there's going to be some type of swelling to go along with the bruising. Let me see if I could. I want to look at those pictures. Amber Heard. Now his pictures look realistic to me. I mean, you could see a knot on his face, in his pictures. So I don't know. Yeah, let's take a look at these. Her alleged bruises. They don't look realistic. I'm no fucking expert here, but I don't know. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that these are like this one, for instance. Okay, let's look at this one. All right, this one looks like there's a little swelling right there. But then look at her eye. What's going on with the eye? Let me see if I can make this bigger. Like that's where it's kind of let me get myself out of here. Hopefully this doesn't mute me because we know my fucking StreamYard loves to do that. Okay. Yeah. Now, very odd how the bruising ended up right on her cheekbone, right? Like, wow, Johnny Depp, you have a good shot there. But is that just her cheekbone? You know what I'm saying? Or is it really swollen? It's kind of hard to tell there, but I'm not understanding what's going on with the eye. Is that her makeup? And now why would you have, here's the other question, right? She takes this picture. Why would you have your makeup done when you're taking this picture? Like she's in full makeup right there to show bruising. Why is it so red? If she covered it up with makeup, right? Which is what they're trying to lead us to believe, her attorneys, that she always wore makeup over it. Why are we still able to see it then? Like it's so red. That don't make any sense. That looks a little doctored to me, personally. There's only swelling right there. That's it. It looks like. Let's see what other bruises. This one looks totally fake to me. This one, of all of them, in my opinion, looks the fakest. There's absolutely no swelling. Okay. If you got punched in the nose, you're, first of all, the bruising would go right here in the well. Like when I had my nose done, this is where the bruising went. Right in the, literally, if you get hit in the nose, it doesn't go under this line. It literally pulls right where, right in your eye bag, basically. That's where the bruising goes. Not under it, not on your eyelid, right in this trough right here. That's where all the blood pools up in that little area. But for her, it didn't happen. There's no swelling present on her nose, which is really weird because if it's that bruised up, you would think that it would be fucking extremely swollen. I mean, I would have to see a side by side comparison of her face, you know, her nose normally, but it doesn't appear to be swollen in this picture to me at all. At all. So, yeah, I don't think that. I wouldn't put it past her to smack the shit out of herself either, to be quite honest with you. So this one, to me, of all of them, look the fakest. Because, okay, how come when her head's turned, why are we not seeing all this bruising that it looks like on the side of her nose? Holy shit, wait a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. So when she turns her face, look at this. I wish I could blow this up more. Let me zoom in. All right. Wow. Look how much this doesn't match up. That's bizarre. I just realized this. Unless she took these pictures, I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. To be honest with you, like, I don't know what the story is that goes along with this picture, like how exactly she says she was hit. But I know this is the one with the hair where she says that he pulled the hair out. Is this when he closed the door on her or something? No, that might be something different. All right, let's look at this. First of all, this little dot under her eye to me looks like somewhere where a needle was put in. I don't know why you would put it in your eye down there, but like, I don't know what would cause that dot. It looks like, I don't know. That looks like a pimple or something, which that's a weird place to get a pimple, but maybe she could have had melia, which if you look at this eye, it almost looks like that's what she has. If you guys don't know what melia is, some people get these little, it looks like almost like a little ball under your skin, right? It's not a pimple. It's like a hard ball that forms under your skin, and a lot of people get them around their eye area, and that's what could possibly be going on. She could have had some melia removed right there. Family's on the way home, but the nose looks, I don't know, that don't look real. Now look at all this bruising allegedly that's right here. Okay, and then when she turns her head, that bruising should be right there, but it's not. Then you have her lip looks busted open, but it's not swollen at all, which is very weird because anybody who's ever fucking hit themselves in the mouth knows that your lip immediately fucking blows up. So it's very weird that the bruising is just completely gone when she turns her head. That's, yeah, very strange. Hold on, the pic on the left is a magazine pic retouching. Technically they're both magazine pictures. This is on the Mirror's website, so I don't, to be quite honest with you, if a magazine is trying to paint somebody out to be an abuser, I highly doubt they're going to retouch the photo. I mean, this looks unretouched to me personally. Especially the one on the right, because you can really see her pores and stuff. It's very pixelated because it's in bad lighting. It's in a low lighting situation. This one I find kind of weird because she's right in the light, but I just don't know. The bruising's not there. So it's very strange. There's just this little mark under her eye, which is just odd. That looks like something that's been healing, like not fresh. her lip looks like it's still bleeding in this picture, but again, if it was bleeding and busted open, it would be swollen like bad. So I just don't buy it. It looks like makeup to me, to be quite honest with you. And like, if you just got hit in the face, okay, as a woman, we all know the second you start crying, what's going to happen to your mascara? Like, your mascara is going to be all fucking over your face, okay? Her mascara is flawless right here. She didn't shed a tear after allegedly being punched in the face and having this like crazy violent fight with her husband. And the hair, just that, no. She'd have a fucking, where's the bald spot for the hair, dude? That shit looks like it was cut off with a scissor. That is not how hair would come out of your head like that. That shit is, to be honest, looks like it was probably cut from a fucking pair of like an extension or something. It just doesn't even look real. Like, it literally looks like it was placed there. Like, why is the finger pointing to it? Like, oh, we can't see the big clump of blonde hair. That to me is very fake looking. Looks very staged to me. And that's what these fucking crazy fucks do. This is what they do. They will make false accusations against abuse. Remy, could she have waterproof mascara on? I guess, but like, why? Why would she just be wearing waterproof mascara? I don't know. I mean, these definitely don't look realistic to me. There's so many different ones. The biggest part in all of this, which we have to keep in mind, like this, I don't know, looks like nothing. Looks like she might have had some Botox or something. This looks totally fake. The biggest thing that everybody needs to keep in mind here is very weird. That looks like a pimple. I mean, straight up. Or an injection site, to be quite honest with you. The biggest thing is that there's been, I don't even know how many people that have testified to her, what do you call it? To seeing her the day after this happened. Makeup artists, okay, have testified that she went on a show after one of these alleged incidences, right? She went on a talk show the next day, and the makeup artist testified to not seeing any bruising on her face. So, I mean, there's tons of people that saw her that testified to seeing her the day after these alleged incidences happened, that they're like, there was no bruising on her face. Not at all. I mean, the doorman, I mean, there's like tons of people that have testified so far to not seeing any type of swelling or bruising on her face ever. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest part here. Whether she had makeup on or not, and then clearly in some of these pictures, she does have makeup on and you can still allegedly see it. So to me, I think these are faked. They look fake to me. A lot of them do. I mean, they could be photoshopped, you know, they could be makeup. It could be makeup that she just put some eyeshadow. I mean, shit, I did my makeup for Halloween. It looked like somebody slashed me in the face. You know, I had blood dripping out of it and everything. So it's very easy to fake bruises with makeup. Swelling is another story, but we don't see swelling except in one picture right here. But I just find it odd that the swelling's right on her cheekbone right there. I don't know. It's kind of an odd place for it. And then her makeup's perfect. It just makes no sense. You know, again, she has mascara on, makeup. She got punched in the face, right? But she's not crying. She didn't cry. She didn't shed a tear. She didn't want to mess her makeup up. Like, no, this is not what. Look up pictures of people who've been abused, okay? And you'll see the difference. These just don't look realistic to me at all. So, anyway, all right. I gotta get dinner, some type of dinner going here. So I'm gonna have to end this. But it was lovely discussing this bullshit with you guys because I've been watching it and I'm like, you know, nobody in my real life watches this. So I've been like wanting to ask people, anybody watching this Johnny Depp trial? But then I feel like a weirdo. So I'll talk to you guys because I know there's a lot of you guys out there that are watching this shit too. And like probably thinking a lot of the same things as me. But oh, you're back just in time, Novemberine. I'm about to end this. She's the only one telling the truth we're supposed to believe. Yeah, exactly. She's the only one, right? So, all right. Anyway, I'm gonna end this, but I hope everybody has a good night, and I'll see you guys around. I'm sure I'll be back, and we'll discuss some more of the trial here. Hopefully, when she starts testifying, maybe we'll do some discussions on her testimony because I think it's gonna be just captivating. So it'll be really interesting. All right, guys, have a good night.